What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty, and welcome to another amazing video. You can follow me on Patreon for exclusive stories. 6 UC Chapter 126 Seal. Finish. 2/5 Chapter 126 After finishing the seal, Miyamoto looked at Ōtsutsuki Kaguya. Snapped. Putting your hands together, Miyamoto's deep voice sounded. Summoning technique. Bang bang. 2 puffs of smoke, one on the left and one on the right, followed by the figures of Uzumaki Naruto and Uchiha Sasuke appearing beside Ōtsutsuki Kaguya. Ōtsutsuki Kaguya had a look of disbelief on his face, watching Uzumaki Naruto and Uchiha Sasuke appear. In the lava space, there are no 2 chakra, they should be dead. Regardless of Ōtsutsuki Kaguya's disbelief, Uzumaki Naruto and Uchiha Sasuke, who were already ready to go, directly raised their hands and came to Ōtsutsuki Kaguya, Uzumaki Naruto's dark face. Don't underestimate people. Uchiha Sasuke's eyes were focused, chakra on his body was concentrated, and he opened his mouth and shouted. It's now, Uzumaki Naruto's, 910, right hand, Uchiha Sasuke's left hand, one yin and one yang, both pressing towards Ōtsutsuki Kaguya at the same time. 6 paths planetary devastation. Seeing the 2 people approaching, Ōtsutsuki Kaguya's complexion changed drastically, and he withdrew his pupil power, trying to avoid the seal this time. However, Miyamoto, who was suppressed, struck directly at the moment Ōtsutsuki Kaguya was about to flee. In an instant, the body came directly behind Ōtsutsuki Kaguya, and while the huge pupil power was suppressed, he pressed the top of Ōtsutsuki Kaguya's head with one hand. Enough playing, you can be sealed obediently. Turning his head with difficulty, Ōtsutsuki Kaguya's gaze was full of killing intent, and he looked at Ben. Play the fight with me. You actually said it was just for fun? Ignoring Ōtsutsuki Kaguya's reaction, after Miyamoto pushed Ōtsutsuki Kaguya back, he flipped in the air and landed behind Uzumaki Naruto and Uchiha Sasuke, looking at Ōtsutsuki Kaguya. That's right, this battle is easier for you to deal with than Madara. Crack. Crack. The hands of Uzumaki Naruto and Uchiha Sasuke followed Ōtsutsuki Kaguya's shoulder. Buzz. A huge sealing power of 6 paths acts on Ōtsutsuki Kaguya. At this moment, Ōtsutsuki Kaguya's desperately huge chakra has become the biggest burden. I am the patriarch of chakra. Looking at Uzumaki Naruto and Uchiha Sasuke in front of him, Ōtsutsuki Kaguya had a look of sadness and anger on his face. To be defeated again by these scattered chakra. What? Bang. More than half of the ground in the first ball space rose into the air, forming a huge sphere, which completely sealed the Ōtsutsuki Kaguya that had been transformed into 10 tails. At the same time, Uchiha Madara and the 9-tailed beasts that were originally in Ōtsutsuki Kaguya's body came out. 10 minutes passed, Uchiha Sasuke and Uzumaki Naruto, who had completed the seal, together with the 9-tailed beasts, looked at the moon like planetary devastation in the sky, and couldn't help but feel a little happy. Seal, done. After exiting chakra mode, Miyamoto glanced at Uzumaki Naruto and Uchiha Sasuke beside him, and said something in approval. Feeling that the seal in the sky will become stronger and stronger, Miyamoto frowned slightly. To leave this space, I need to wait for my chakra to recover. Before that, I can only wait. This seal will swallow up this space sooner or later. I hope the speed will not be so fast. After Miyamoto said this, he immediately felt Uzumaki Naruto beside him. His body was stiff, and he looked at Miyamoto. Musashi. What do you mean? Could we be sealed together? Hateful, I didn't think of that at all. Looking at the furious Uzumaki Naruto, the corner of Miyamoto's mouth twitched, but he wasn't worried. 9 tails is behind, and the 10 faces look at Uzumaki Naruto speechlessly. Although he does things unambiguously, he still can't change Uzumaki Naruto's stupid look. Miyamoto is not worried about Uzumaki Naruto, Uchiha Sasuke and the tailed beasts. Sage of 6 paths will take them and the tailed beasts away. As for whether he will take himself away, it is not certain. As soon as Miyamoto's thoughts came up, his body felt an attraction, pulling him away from here. Shaking his brows, it seems that Sage of 6 paths will save him too. Bang bang bang. After a series of smoke, the 3 of Miyamoto, the 9-tailed beasts, and the unconscious Uchiha Madara all summoned back to the battlefield. Finally back. Sage of 6 paths, a strange-looking old man, has no entity, relies on chakra reality, strength aside, Miyamoto has no feelings for him. Miyamoto-kun. After Hinata saw Miyamoto's appearance, she rushed to Miyamoto's side directly, threw herself into Miyamoto's arms, nodded in Miyamoto's arms, and hugged tightly without saying a word. Gently embracing Hinata's waist, Miyamoto's face showed a gentle color, looking at Hinata in his arms. There's nothing more to do, the war's over, after we go back, we'll get married. After saying this, a smile appeared on Miyamoto's face, and he glanced at Hong, who came to Miyamoto's side, and Tamari. Although if you marry 3 wives, there will be some bad rumors or something, but it's okay. I am strong enough. What happened next really has nothing to do with Miyamoto at all. The battle between Uchiha Sasuke and Uzumaki Naruto, and the battle between Indra and Ashura's fate, for Miyamoto, it doesn't matter, what he wants, he has already got. The Fourth Ninja World War was declared over after the sun came down. Infinite Tsukuyomi was released, and everyone woke up from the infinite dream. The battle between Uchiha Sasuke and Uzumaki Naruto ended with two people breaking off an arm each, and it ended. But in this case, the final winner is Uzumaki Naruto. Well, win the Hokage, lose the woman. Uzumaki Naruto, who has always liked Haruno Sakura, lost. After all, Haruno Sakura is really devoted to Uchiha Sasuke. As for the rest, I won't mention it. Under such circumstances, the time has come after the end of the Fourth Ninja World War, rear. Konoha, Miyamoto's home. 3.9 In the small yard of Miyamoto's house, Miyamoto, who is basking in the sun, enjoys the red knee pillow service. Hong has officially moved into Miyamoto's house, and has completely become a good wife. Although there are no retired ninjas, they will not be on missions. Enough is enough. Hong now just wants to take good care of her family and then have children. After all, Hong's dream has already come true. The dream of becoming a powerful ninja like Tsunade Haim, one of the Sannin, has come true. Konoha Sanshi, in the great battle, also bloomed with color. Looking at Miyamoto, who was enjoying himself with his lap on the pillow, tenderness appeared on his red face. Honey, you're going to propose marriage to Hyuga tomorrow, aren't you nervous? P.S. This is chapter 126, thank you for your support. Recommendation. Hokage's brush proficiency becomes stronger, you can go and have a look. Chapter 127 Considering the Future 3/5 Chapter 127. No, I'm not nervous, I'm just worried about being surrounded by people. Miyamoto said helplessly. As the most high-end combat power in the Fourth Ninja World War, Miyamoto's strength is already recognized as the strongest in the ninja world. Just like a big light bulb, there are a bunch of fans wherever you go. Miyamoto's face revealed a look of helplessness. Fortunately, everyone knew that Miyamoto already had a woman, and they were all first-class beauties. Otherwise, there might be some problems. Well, now if you want to live a normal life, you can't do it anymore. Hong heard the words, showed a smile, and said, that's what I said, but tomorrow can't make you lose face of the Miyamoto family. I will prepare well for you. Hearing Hong's words, Miyamoto nodded slightly, closed his eyes again, and felt the changes in my body. Because of strength, even though it is the undead body of Ōtsutsuki Kaguya that is fused this time, Miyamoto's fusion speed is quite fast. In a month, he has completely fused the undead 17 body, and even the copied one has been wiped out of consciousness. The 10 Tails Chakra turned into a perpetual motion machine. As long as he does not launch a world-destroying big move, Miyamoto will not face the situation of chakra depletion. And absorbing the natural chakra's perpetual motion all the time, it will become more and more terrifying. Even lying down, he is still getting stronger. The next day, with Hong's help, Miyamoto was wearing a custom-made kimono, her black hair loosened behind her. Haki is rather gentle, handsome yet masculine. Although in terms of face shape, Miyamoto is not the kind of little boy, but with those piercing eyes, the whole person exudes a unique charm. Then I'm going out. Standing in the entrance, turned around and said to Hong. Miyamoto's expression was very gentle. Nodding, looking at Miyamoto with a slight smile in his eyes. Yes, come back early. Looking at the gentle red, Miyamoto turned and left the house. Walking on the street, the people that Miyamoto met along the way, there is no doubt that they all looked at Miyamoto with a kind of admiration and idle eyes. But seeing Miyamoto like this, the pedestrians who knew what was going on didn't come to chat with Miyamoto, but nodded and saluted. After walking all the way and gaining a lot of attention, they came to the clan land of the Hyuga clan. There was no such thing as a family welcome. Although Hyuga Hiyashi is the head of the clan, such things as coming to propose marriage are naturally only a matter of Hyuga Hiyashi's family. It was the first time for Miyamoto to come to the Hyuga clan, and he met many people along the way. Brother-in-law. The person who came to greet Miyamoto was none other than Hyuga Hanabi, a ninja student who had met once. You're here. The cry of brother-in-law made Miyamoto's heart quite restrained, and he raised his hand to rub Hyuga Hanabi's little head. Well, let's go. Led by Hanabi, Miyamoto quickly came to the house. Although it is said to be a matter of Hyuga Hiyashi's family, but also here, there is Hyuga Neji and his mother who did not die in the ninja war this time. Their family, who are immediate relatives, appearing here is normal. When Uchiha Madara launched the cutting technique, within the range of Miyamoto's defense, Hyuga Neji happened to be there. Looking at Hinata, who was also wearing a kimono, Miyamoto's eyes lit up. Very charming, especially today. Miyamoto-kun, you are here. Hinata's face is ruddy. Knowing what Miyamoto is here for, Hinata is naturally shy and happy in her heart. Smiling slightly, although I love you in my heart, I didn't do anything. After all, today is quite formal. I turned to face Hyuga Hiyashi. Excuse me, uncle. Nodding his head, Hyuga Hiyashi showed a kind smile on his unsmiling face, and looked at Hinata and Miyamoto who were facing each other. Welcome, Tibetan. Marriage proposal is more troublesome, but he is the only one in Miyamoto's family. Although Hong and Miyamoto have a great relationship, Hyuga Hiyashi also acquiesced, but whatever it is not suitable for Hong to appear here today. Going to the door to propose a marriage is not a formality. Miyamoto still took out his own dowry gift, which was not needed at first, but at Hong's request, he still offered a dowry gift. This meal is quite harmonious and warm. For the first time in this world, Miyamoto felt at home, pretty good. After a meal, and after chatting with Hyuga Hiyashi for a while, Miyamoto got together with Hinata and Neji to chat, plus Hanabi. Young people are young after all, even though Miyamoto's personality is relatively calm, but dealing with the older generation, especially the prospective father-in-law, is still a bit difficult. In the evening, after eating, Miyamoto stayed at Hyuga's house. Originally, Miyamoto wanted to sleep with Hinata, but under the arrangement of Hinata's mother, he slept in the guest room. Night, Miyamoto has not fallen asleep yet, and is still thinking about the future in his mind. Regarding the future, Miyamoto has a lot of ideas, but now, with Miyamoto's strength, he can do it more or less. Came to this world, copied so many things, and finally got the immortal body. But in the end there is only Miyamoto alone. Red, Hinata, and Temari are not immortal. Miyamoto doesn't want to be alone in the future, so he must find a way to solve this problem. For Miyamoto, there is only one way to achieve this goal in the end. The world that Ōtsutsuki Kaguya came from is the Ōtsutsuki ancestor star that those Hokage fans in the previous life said. But waiting for the arrival of those 3 idiots of Ōtsutsuki will take 16 years. For Miyamoto, there is no way to wait. So 837 Miyamoto has made a decision in his heart. After waiting for a while, he is going to find the secret about the Ōtsutsuki clan. Since the other party can come, there must be a way to get there. The 3 crooked melons and split dates of Ōtsutsuki can all be called the strong of the Ōtsutsuki clan, and survived from more than 1,000 years ago to 16 years later. It is impossible for the Ōtsutsuki clan to not have the secret of immortality. Rubbing the center of his brows helplessly, Miyamoto said slightly angrily. Damn it, Kishimoto is a pit. Well, he plays. Many things have not been introduced clearly, and Miyamoto really doesn't know how to complain. Clatter. Just as Miyamoto was making complaints, the door of the guest room suddenly opened, and a figure walked in, directly getting into Miyamoto's bed. Miyamoto knew the familiar smell when he came to the door. Hinata. Stretching out his arms to hug Hinata who got into his bed, Miyamoto saw clearly Hinata's shy look and the affection in those eyes through the twilight of the moon. I want to give myself to you. Hearing this, Miyamoto's heart became hot, and he gave a wicked smile. At this moment, there is no need to say much, and actions are the most practical. Here, the description is omitted, 10,000 words. P.S. This is Chapter 127, thank you for your support. Thank you very much. Chapter 128 Chapter 128 Sanagakure. Keisuke's office, as Gaara's older sister, Temari, who has both combat effectiveness and wisdom, is an important senior executive of Sanagakure. After dealing with things just now, Temari glanced out the window, a little dazed. What's wrong, Temari? Gaara looked at her sister and asked. If you are too tired, you can go to rest first, and leave the rest to us. Since the end of the war, the things to be dealt with are almost the same. You're almost thinking about your own affairs, aren't you? Hearing Gaara's words, Temari was slightly taken aback. My business? What business? Hearing Temari's words, Gaara scratched her face. Ahem. That. Look, during the war, you didn't fight Musashi. Hearing Gaara's words, even Temari's character immediately blushed. Glancing at the other people in the office in a blink of an eye, everyone looked at her with a smile on their faces. Do you all know? While Temari blushed, he also asked. I shouldn't have said that. Even if she is shy, Temari's character will never make her shy like ordinary girls. Gaara's disciple Matsuri and another black long straight girl Chunin Yukata, the two of them look at Temari. Miss Temari, you are so obvious, how could you not know? With an embarrassed head tilted, Temari said, Is there? I think it's normal, it's not so special, right? But the happy smile in the eyes cannot be concealed. Miyamoto said that after stabilization, the doctor came to Sanagakure to pick her up. Pick her up to live in Konoha, her name will be Miyamoto Temari. It's kind of weird, but it's not much of a problem, after all, she is Miyamoto Musashi, the woman who is the head of 3 colors and the strongest man in the world. Now Temari is looking forward to Miyamoto's arrival every day. At that time, her destination has been determined. As for the rest, Temari's character, I really don't care much. Click. The door of Keisuke's office was pushed open, and Baki came in, with a piece of information in his hand, and said, Master Keisuke 1, that one is coming soon. Frowning, Gaara was stunned for a moment, but he still spoke. Musashi? Baki nodded, handed over the information in his hand, and said, A message from Hokage Tsunade-sama, saying that Miyamoto-sama came here to visit with Konoha-sama. Purpose. Temari. With a smile on his face, Baki felt a little emotional. The 3 siblings who were worrying back then have all grown up. On the second day, Konoha's people, headed by Miyamoto, including Nara Shikuhisa, Konoha's current military advisor, some important personnel, appeared at the entrance of Sanagakure. When Miyamoto and others approached, Miyamoto saw Temari beside Gaara at a glance, and smiled slightly. Although I noticed Temari, Miyamoto was the representative after all, and came to Gaara. Gaara, Long time no see. Miyamoto reached out, and Gaara's outstretched hand was held together. Watching Miyamoto, Gaara had a smile on his face. Welcome, Musashi. After the two greeted each other for a while, they went directly into Sanagakure without worrying about anything. After all, Miyamoto's strength and status lay there. After handing over other matters to Nara, Miyamoto found Temari. Seeing Temari, who looked at him shyly, Miyamoto reached out and took Temari. I'm here to pick you up. Sanagakure stayed for a week. After dealing with Sanagakure's affairs, Miyamoto took Temari and the group left Sanagakure. On the way back to Konoha, Temari's state, I feel a little emotional. After all, he left his homeland. It's okay, if you want to come back later, we can come back anytime. Miyamoto comforted Temari, who was a little depressed, and said. And our wedding, Gaara, they will all come. Hearing Miyamoto's comfort, Temari's face finally regained some energy. But still gave Miyamoto a blank look, Temari said. It's not as serious as you say, just a little nervous. Hearing this, Miyamoto frowned slightly and looked at Temari. Don't be nervous, Hinata and Hong are easy to get along with, really. Stopping in his tracks, Temari turned his head and blushed, and glared at Miyamoto. They're easy to get along with, I know this better than you. Idiot. After saying this, Temari accelerated directly and wanted to go forward quickly. Miyamoto was a little puzzled, scratched his head, and followed. A woman's heart, a seabed needle. Looking at the two people walking in the front, and Nara Shirju who followed behind, looking at Miyamoto's back, I couldn't help but feel a little weird. He finally understood what his son said, it is really a miracle that Miyamoto can open a harem. This emotional intelligence, no one else. Miyamoto's wedding is a year later. This is a very grand event after the Ninja World War. It is very important to Miyamoto, and it is also very important to his three women. Originally Hong didn't plan to attend the wedding, but at Miyamoto's request, she couldn't refuse. From Miyamoto's point of view, they're all their own women, why not? For a year, Miyamoto had no missions, and no other big things happened. Probably the biggest thing, is that Kakashi became the 6th Hokage. Kind of like giving Uzumaki Naruto a few years of Hokage before he's fully grown. Tsunade resigned, but this time, instead of traveling, he stayed in Konoha. The reason is more or less because Miyamoto, a junior, is there. Although Miyamoto's Sharingan was exposed, but wood style is also true, Tsunade still cares about Miyamoto as a junior. In a blink of an eye, a year has passed. In less than a week, the wedding of Miyamoto and Hinata, Red and Temari, is coming. Senju House. It's very rare, you kid, you will come to me. Tsunade is still the same as before, looked at the junior Miyamoto in front of him, and said. What's wrong? Could it be anxiety before marriage? It shouldn't be. Hearing Tsunade's words, Miyamoto smiled slightly. He was sitting, looking at Tsunade. Master Tsunade, I have one thing to ask you, Wang Hao Jiao. Hearing Miyamoto's words, Tsunade was taken aback, put down his glass, and looked at Miyamoto. What? If it can be done, I will do it for you. It's a wedding, what's missing? Shaking his head, Miyamoto pondered for a moment, looked at Tsunade with a hint of reminiscence in his eyes. After coming to this world, although the journey went smoothly, but something was more or less missing. Looking at Tsunade, Ben has a request on his face. That, I hope Master Tsunade will attend my wedding as an elder. His face froze. Tsunade looked at Miyamoto, a touch of emotion flickered in his eyes. For Miyamoto, Tsunade trusts and cares more than Naruto. Everyone can see this, Tsunade cares about Miyamoto as his descendant. When Tsunade heard Miyamoto's invitation, after pondering for a while, there was a rare kindness on his face. I see. P.S. This is chapter 128, thank you for your support. Chapter 129 The White-Haired Twin Ponytail Girl 5/5. Chapter 129 A Day When Sakura Blooms, A Grand Wedding. Groom. Miyamoto Musashi. Bride. Hyuga Hinata, Yuihong, Temari. Since the history of Ninja World, the first wedding of monogamy and 3 wives was held in Konoha. Although Miyamoto doesn't have many friends, there are still quite a few people who came to this wedding. This year, Konoha has seen a rare event. The whole wedding was organized by Miyamoto and his 3 wives. This kind of wedding is interesting. Even the wedding dresses for the 3 of them were all designed by Miyamoto himself, and Miyamoto felt that the wedding dresses and kimonos were a little bit worse. Having seen many luxurious weddings in the previous life, Miyamoto will naturally not treat himself badly, nor will he treat his woman badly. Unique wedding on the best of days, it was methodical. The newlyweds naturally want to travel. 1 month after the wedding, Miyamoto told Kakashi that the family of 4 was going on a honeymoon trip. With Miyamoto's strength, there really isn't any place he can't go to in the 5 major countries. Country of soup. Since it is a honeymoon trip to a country famous for its hot springs, how could it be possible not to have a long-awaited mixed bath? In the private soup, Miyamoto enjoys Hong's massage. Ah, such a life, it's simply too perfect, it will be good forever. With a comfortable face, Miyamoto spoke, and the lazy tone of his words made the 3 of Hinata smile knowingly. After all, it's fine no matter what, It is very rare for Miyamoto to be able to relax. Even in this year, sometimes I can feel that Miyamoto has something on his mind. But it's interesting, the three of them didn't ask, and Miyamoto wouldn't hide what he could tell them, and everyone knows this. Hinata looked at Miyamoto and suddenly said something, and Ben was taken aback. Indeed. Tamari also nodded as a matter of course and said, well, I don't know what you're worried about, but I'm going to be angry if you still frown from time to time during the honeymoon trip. Waving a small fist at Miyamoto, Tamari spoke. Looking at Tamari like this now, I can't complain. Tamari has such a character, there is no other way. What can I do with the woman I am looking for, honey? Gently rubbing Miyamoto's shoulders, he didn't mind offering benefits at all, and smiled at his virtuous wife with a red face. If there is something, don't carry it on your own, just say it, let's do business together. Hearing what the three said, Miyamoto was moved and nodded. Yes, as long as you agree to be together tonight, then I will tell you. Seeing this smirk, the three girls blushed and didn't know what to say. However, in my heart, there is still some small feeling of expectation. Probably, I should satisfy some of my husband's petty thoughts. Especially, when Miyamoto has no children, Hong feels that she should work hard. Both Hinata and Tamari are still early, but she is not young anymore. Despite the 100 healings mark and Baihao technique, her appearance will not change, but it is still a matter of age after all. After being shy for a while, Hong spoke directly. Okay, come on. Glancing at Hong, Miyamoto nodded, understanding. Hong didn't know that the problem she was worried about was exactly the problem Miyamoto was going to solve. Get eternal life. Miyamoto's current immortality, in fact, has only acquired vitality beyond imagination, which is enough to support him to live for 1,000 years, so it is not a problem. But it is still not considered eternal life. If I want to live forever, I can't do it in the wrong way. But there is a first come first served approach to everything, and let my three beautiful wives get about the same vitality first. I am considering, after organizing the language, Miyamoto looked serious. I'm thinking, how can you get the immortal body? Hearing Miyamoto's words, the three of Hinata were stunned at the same time, and the red hand even stopped. The faces of the three were serious, and after pondering for a while, Hong even spoke. Honey, don't mess around, it's enough to be with you for 100 years. Immortal or something, don't study this. Red knows something, for example Orochimaru, one of the Sannin, studied this. She worries that Miyamoto will go the wrong way. Both Hinata and Tamari looked worried, watching Miyamoto hesitate to speak. I know what you're worried about, squeezing the red waist, Miyamoto said, quite distressed. However, there is no way, BHBE, for this, because I'm now. It's the body of immortality. Hearing this, the three of Hinata opened their mouths, not knowing what to say. Looking at the three, Miyamoto's eyes flickered, and he opened his mouth to tell the secret that Ōtsutsuki Kaguya is immortal, and at the same time told the three that he was too. So, Miyamoto spoke, with a smile on his face. I absolutely want you to live with me, however, it is impossible for me to use a technique like Orochimaru. I'll be from other worlds, let's be together forever. The three looked at each other, although it was unbelievable, but Miyamoto's strength, and seeing Ōtsutsuki Kaguya with their own eyes, let them know that what Miyamoto said was true. However, such a thing is indeed shocking. Finally, Hinata stood up and came to Miyamoto with a serious face. Don't try too hard on yourself, I'm satisfied to be able to marry you. Hearing this, Miyamoto felt warm in his heart. Hong and Temari's complexion also returned to normal, and they both leaned over. After taking a bath, several people changed their clothes and went out for a stroll. The general situation in the ninja world is too peaceful. Under the leadership of the 5 major countries, the small countries have no right to say no. But this kind of development is very good. The general situation is peaceful, and the small situation will naturally have disputes, but this will not affect Miyamoto and others. Walking on the path in the forest, the faces of the 4 of them were full of satisfaction. The world of ninjas has really begun to slowly become peaceful. Hong felt a little bit, looked at Miyamoto with a proud face. This happened, thanks to my man, shaking his head, just when Miyamoto was about to deny it, his face suddenly changed and he looked forward. Zzz. Waves of electromagnetic waves sounded, and then a figure appeared in front of the 4 of them. With her back facing the 4 of them, her long white hair hangs down to her waist. Her appearance is accompanied by a kind of pressure, the pressure of space. The 3 of Hinata immediately became vigilant, blocked Miyamoto behind, and looked at the white long-haired girl who appeared. With flickering eyes, Miyamoto looked at the girl in front of him with an inexplicable sense of familiarity in his heart. After the girl paused, she turned her head, frowned, and looked at the 4 of Miyamoto. And now, Miyamoto saw the girl clearly, with twin ponytails, a pair of eyes are weird red and blue. Wearing a cavalry cap that Miyamoto has seen on his head, wearing a military uniform, a pair of platform high-heeled shoes and knee socks. Miyamoto was too familiar with this girl. The pupil shrank slightly, looking at the girl. Miyamoto sighed subconsciously. This is really a romance. P.S. I declare, Hokage Volume, the end. The following world has already given hints. If I don't know this, I can't help it. This is really a romance. Ha ha ha. According to my speed, I will finish the next volume, and I guess, it's only a little time. Ha ha ha. It is estimated that some friends will leave for the new volume, but Lemon still asks everyone to continue to take care of it. Chapter 130. Everything in the Universe 1/5 Chapter 130. Hearing Miyamoto's exclamation, the girl's eyes fell on Miyamoto, and she was slightly puzzled. Who are you? You know me. Why'd I have no impression of you at all? The three of Hinata stared at the girl with wary eyes, and asked at the same time. Honey, who is she? Standing up from behind the three, Miyamoto faced the girl directly. Her words come from a being from the otherworld. Very strong, in a sense, an invincible strong man. Miyamoto's words made the three of Hinata quite dignified, seeing that the girl didn't speak, although they still don't quite understand the otherworld that Miyamoto said. But the word, invincible strong man, is known to the three of them, and it is even more certain when it is said from Miyamoto's mouth. Huh? You know me well. Looking at Miyamoto, the girl's special eyes flashed, looking at Miyamoto. Is this world also a creator's world? A peaceful place in the age of gods? Hearing the girl's words, Miyamoto didn't answer, but looked at her seriously, recalling the girl's identity in his mind. A secondary created character named Altair, also known as Altair, the princess in military uniform, possessed the strongest skill Hollow Psychen, which is the omnipotent skill. Others Miyamoto doesn't care about, what he cares about is Altair's omnipotent ability to travel through worlds and dimensions. With this ability, immortality will no longer be a dream. I don't know if you misunderstood something. Miyamoto spoke, looking at Altair with a serious face. This world is not the world of the Age of Gods, nor is it the world of the Creator. This world has just gained a brief peace. Looking at Miyamoto, Altair showed a vigilant look on his face. As Miyamoto said, she is very strong. It can be seen that Miyamoto's strength is also quite terrifying. Who are you? Since you know what I say, you should also understand that you have no chance to win against me. A magic circle appeared directly on the ground, surrounded by rapidly spinning sabers, including the three of Miyamoto. With solemn eyes, a dangerous smile appeared on Miyamoto's face, and Rinne's Sharingan has emerged. Altair. You are playing with fire. Holding a saber in his hand, Altair looked at Ben. Hey, with one swing of the knife, the sabers that revolved around the four of Miyamoto attacked directly from all directions. Most of the attacks fell on the three Hinata behind Miyamoto. Facing such an attack, the three experienced women did not panic, and spread out directly to avoid the first wave of attacks. Tamari pressed the seal on his hand, and the three-star fan appeared in his hand. 3 stars. Wind-style Scythe Itachi, bang. The terrifying hurricane, with its powerful force, swept all the sabers and directly blew them back. Swish swish swish. The three stood back to back, and Tamari faced Altair. Don't underestimate people. Clank. All the sabers that were knocked into the air gathered around Altair again, spinning continuously, like an absolute defense. So that's how it is. The existence of power. Altair smiled slightly, looked at Miyamoto, and glanced at Hinata Sanza behind him. That is to say, is this world a creature? In that case, the four of you are worthy of being taken away by me. Snapped. As soon as the words fell, a hand rested lightly on her head, and Ying Ben's voice sounded. Where are you looking? Altair. The rebellious child. His face was cold, and his eyes were even more terrifying. A submachine gun appeared in Altair's hand, and the saber was put on it, like pulling a violin, gently swaying. Boom! The sound of electromagnetic wave impact sounded, and a terrifying force surged, erupting with Altair as the center, destroying everything around Altair, even trees and air. Feeling this inexplicable force, Miyamoto frowned, and his figure reappeared in front of the three of Hinata in an instant. Crack! With clasped hands, Chakra erupted, and Miyamoto looked at Altair. Wood-style birth of the tree realm. Boom! Countless trees were formed almost instantly, blasting towards Altair's myriad phenomena. The attack was very fierce. However, when it touches the myriad phenomena, it dissipates directly. Seeing this scene, Miyamoto's gaze was like a torch. This is not a concept of being obliterated into powder, but a direct return to nothing. With a sneer drawn on his face, Altair looked at Miyamoto. Everything, the power of all things, the flow of all things, the power zone of reincarnation in the real world. Looking at your appearance, you should have some awareness of my strength, this unknown powerhouse. There was no answer. In Miyamoto's hand, the golden lightsaber was condensed into shape. Facing Altair, he raised his hand and slashed. Golden wheels explode. Clang. Although the condensed golden wheel blast does not have that terrifying attack distance, its attack power has risen in a straight line. This sword slash has the same nature as the truth-seeking ball. This attack does not directly was eliminated. Ask for flowers, after all, it is the world of Hokage, the highest level of skills. Huh? Is this power equal to my power? Once again with the saber in his hand, a magic light circle appeared behind Altair, and 3 figures loomed from it. Factor imitation. Seeing this scene, Miyamoto's face changed slightly, the golden wheel in his hand exploded, and he slashed towards the magic circle. Clang, the defensive circle formed by the rapid rotation of the saber blocked Miyamoto's attack, and a sneer appeared on Altair's face. How could it be possible for you to get what you want? Withdrawing his attack, Miyamoto didn't speak, and looked at an identical figure emerging from the magic circle behind Altair. Zero, Hinata, Tamari, and Red. After turning his head to look at the three people who appeared behind him, Altair's gaze changed slightly, and he looked up at Miyamoto. You are different. Nodding in disbelief, looking at Altair, Miyamoto did not deny her words. After a moment of silence, Altair put down the submachine gun in his hand, looked at Miyamoto, his eyes flickered. Can you tell me your name? Miyamoto's face was calm, looking at Altair. Miyamoto Musashi. There was a fluctuation like a data stream on his body. Altair looked at Miyamoto with a fake smile on his face. I remember. Maybe there is a chance to come over next time, and I will kill you at that time. As soon as the words fell, Altair's figure glowed with a dazzling light, and then disappeared, completely disappeared. Without preventing all this from happening, Miyamoto has no fighting spirit at all at this moment. After watching Altair's disappearing direction for a long time, Miyamoto looked away, thoughtfully. It was an accident that Altair appeared here, but for Miyamoto, it was quite a surprise. I took a look at my remaining number of copies, 0. It took 3 chances to copy everything. This is the first time Miyamoto has encountered such a situation. P.S. This is chapter 130, thank you for your support, thank you very much. The main reason is that everything is very strong, so first come to this world for a while, at my speed. Also in chapters 12 to 15, the loss will end, chapter 131 Altair, 2/5. Chapter 131 High-rise buildings, cars like running water, rich in the life of modern society. Wearing a suit, Miyamoto walked into a mobile phone store with a slight smile on his face. 10 minutes later, Miyamoto came out of the mobile phone shop with an extra mobile phone in his hand, flipped his fingers over and over, browsed the information on the internet, and smiled slightly. Next, find a temporary place to live. Glancing at the tall buildings, Miyamoto smiled on his face. In this world, anything can really be easily done. 1 month after meeting Altair, Miyamoto returned to Konoha after thoroughly understanding the essence of the skill of omnipresent skill through cheat. After saying hello to his 3 wives, Miyamoto embarked on the journey of the experimental dimension shuttle first, and waited until he was able to skillfully enter the 470 dimension shuttle, and then went back to pick up the 3 of Hinata. But after coming to this world, I realized that the consumption of dimension shuttle is extremely terrifying. Especially, he is such an existence with world-class strength. Under such circumstances, for the time being, the cooling time of Miyamoto's skills is 3 months, and the others have no impact for the time being. Shuttle from Miyamoto, it has been a week since today. With Miyamoto's strength, it is quite simple to obtain a place to live, and it is also very simple to integrate into this society. On the upper floor of a luxury apartment building, Miyamoto sat in front of the floor-to-ceiling windows, watching the world's feasting night scene, quite enjoying it. Slide your finger on the notebook on one side, and a video of Altair's second creation is playing on a familiar website. There are many, not just Altair, but videos of other characters. Except for Altair, Miyamoto can only recall a rough idea of the other characters, and among them, there is a person who holds the second character he wants to copy. Meteora Ace Telexis Grimoire. If you have the magic book of Meteora, next time you go to any world, Miyamoto will be able to quickly grasp a situation in that world. Rare and good stuff. This kind of night is fascinating. Miyamoto's closed eyes suddenly opened, and his figure teleported out of the window, heading directly towards the perceived direction. It feels familiar, Altair, and the other 2. Above a park, there are 3 opposing parties, one of which is the Altair that Miyamoto is familiar with. As for the other 2 parties, one is the character that Miyamoto saw when he was looking for information these days, Seleja Ubatilla, and another character he remembered, Meteora. Is it Meteora? There was a sneer on Altair's face, and he looked at the white hair with the magic circle behind him and the 6th gate cannon. Haven't you found your creator? While speaking, the saber around Altair began to spin again. Seeing this scene, Law's expression changed slightly, and he raised his hand, and the cannons fired at Altai again. I found you. Just when the 2 were about to make a move, Miyamoto's voice came, and he looked at Altair with a flat face. Miyamoto's figure came down, and Miyamoto in a bathrobe appeared softly in front of the 2 of them. Accompanying boom. A terrifying momentum oppressed, directly shaking the hearts of the 3 of them. Watching Miyamoto appear here, Altair's face looks disbelieving. Miyamoto Musashi. I didn't summon you, why did you appear here? Altair's words made Meteora's and Seleja's eyes fall on Miyamoto as well, but they just waited and watched, without speaking. Obviously, Altair has no time to pay attention to Miyamoto for the time being, and Miyamoto's target is obviously not them. That's it, Miyamoto will never say anything about cheating. This is his biggest hole card. Watching Altair, Miyamoto's Rinne Sharingan emerge and raise his hand. The last battle was nothing but this time, I came here to kill you. Saw, come and continue the fight, gravitational. The huge gravitational force directly acts on Altair's body, directly pulling Altair's body towards Miyamoto. Swish, the 2 bodies approached instantly, Miyamoto's eyes met Altair's, and after Altair approached, Miyamoto raised his other hand. Yachigami Sky Strike. Bang bang bang, countless huge fists appeared in the air, and without exception, they directly blasted at Altair. This is completely the airwave that was shot out. Altair's saber defense is strong and his body can defend against magic, but the impact of the airwave easily breaks through the saber defense. Needless to say, the power of the Yashigami airstrike that hit Altair head-on. Whoosh, falling from the sky to the ground, buried by the smashed building, he frowned, and in Miyamoto's perception, Altair's breath disappeared again. Withdrawing his gaze, Miyamoto glanced at the other two, Selegia and Meteora. The focus of his eyes was on Meteora's body, and more on Meteora's hands, the powerful way that illuminates everything in the world. The Book of Thousands of Miles. Noticing Miyamoto's gaze, Meteora retracted his hand slightly, put away the Book of Thousand Miles, and looked at Miyamoto vigilantly. Miyamoto's gaze just now had only one meaning: robbery. After just looking at the two of them, Miyamoto withdrew his gaze, turned around and headed towards his temporary residence, and disappeared into the air in a blink of an eye. The departure of Miyamoto made Meteora and Selegia breathe a sigh of relief. The girl in military uniform they had fought so hard couldn't survive one round in the hands of this mysterious man. The pressure was not ordinary. After leaving the park, this was the first time Miyamoto saw Altair after he came to this world. With a light of thought in his eyes, Miyamoto murmured. The attack after blessing the myriad phenomena can hit Altair head-on. However, if you want to kill her, there will be some troubles. There are so many things, there are more or less bugs. Miyamoto's face revealed a dignified color, as he said, the purpose of chasing after him to this world does include the purpose of killing Altair. After all, Miyamoto only remembers people, but not Altair's character, or the future. Since before, Altair said that he and Hinata would be killed next time. In this case, Miyamoto might as well strike first, taking advantage of the present, although Altair is strong, but he is not truly invincible. P.S. This is chapter 131. Thank you for your support. Since everyone doesn't know much about this world, I'll end it soon and then enter the next world. There will be only 12 chapters at most. Come here, the world is mainly for everything. Chapter 132, I master the power to resurrect the dead 3/5. Chapter 132, walking down the street at noon the next day, Miyamoto's attention was drawn to the crowd. Unlike those characters who were summoned in this world, Miyamoto is well integrated into this world, and there is no difference. And Miyamoto can feel that in this world, he can do his best, even if the world is destroyed, he will not be rejected by the world like Altair. What is the reason? Miyamoto does not know, it probably has something to do with his cheat. It's also worth mentioning that Miyamoto's cheat has changed the main remaining times of copying. 2 quarters, recover once in half a month. Inexplicably, after Miyamoto copied Altair's omnipresent, the cheat changed. Originally once a month, it was superimposed to 1, and now it was once every half a month, superimposed to 4. It seems that the difference is not big, but Miyamoto is quite concerned about. This means that his cheat is slowly evolving, and what is certain is that the power of copying the cheat must be stronger. It wasn't long before he walked on the street, and in Miyamoto's perception, there were 2 auras like big light bulbs among ordinary people. It was none other than the breath of Selegia and Meteora that I met last night. Not only the 2, but also 17 other auras, which are also quite strong, at least the competition is stronger than Lei Jia. Bang! There was an explosion above his head, and Miyamoto's gaze was fixed, and he looked up to the top of his head. On the tall building, there are some blown cement blocks, falling from the sky and hitting the opposite side, which is the sidewalk where he and some pedestrians are. Frowning, Miyamoto's eyes flashed with murderous intent. A huge defensive magic circle stood above Miyamoto, blocking all the falling stones. Didn't hurt anyone. Looking at Meteora with the magic circle above his head, Miyamoto didn't speak, and looked at Meteora as if. Although he is not a good person, he still has some good feelings for such enthusiastic people. The surrounding crowd dispersed quickly, Miyamoto's eyes flickered, and he did not leave. In his perception, there are several auras that can be regarded as strong in this world. Interesting, does it feel like Dimensional Smash Bros? If it weren't for the fact that the laws of this world are relatively weak and gods can't be bred, maybe it will feel like Xingyue, Gensokyo. Miyamoto's face is thoughtful. However, the skills here are indeed quite powerful. But only the myriad phenomena can see it clearly. When Miyamoto was thinking, a figure fell from the sky, and Miyamoto saw. Selegia was hit head-on by a magical girl and made a big crater on the ground, apparently severely injured. Without stepping forward or leaving, Miyamoto glanced at Meteora, who had already spotted him, and then looked at Selegia and the magical girl. He is really not good at talking, and if it was Uzumaki Naruto, he might not be able to affecting such a naive magic is less wasteful. Correct, a naive magical girl. In this short period of time, several anime characters from this world appeared one after another. The big boss Maitreya Yuya of Closed Area, the protagonist of Magical Killer, Mimika, Koki Mimika, and the protagonist of Crimson Alice Talia Fibrary. Strengths and weaknesses, but in general they're all rookies. Frowning, Miyamoto looked at the newly appeared knight and the magical girl just now, The words of the two undoubtedly revealed the fact that they were following the princess in military uniform, Altair. That's easy. We're retreating. After hugging the magical girl, the female knight had a serious expression on her face, and she wanted to retreat, just as she got on her horse and was about to leave. Wait a minute. In a blink of an eye, Miyamoto appeared directly next to the female knight, holding the rein with one hand, and his pupil power was running, directly suppressing the action of two people and one horse. Altair. Dot has a word that I want you to pass on to Altair. That is, what you call the princess in military uniform. With a smile on his face, Miyamoto looked at the two people imprisoned by him. I have mastered the power to resurrect the dead. If you want to know, come to me. After finishing speaking, he withdrew his pupil power and let go of the rein at the same time. Miyamoto glanced at the female knight very oppressively. Go. The female knight looked at Miyamoto. There was a trace of cold sweat on her forehead, her face was quite solemn, and she took the magical girl out of here. This was the first time she had seen someone just get close to her, which made her lose the courage to resist. This world is too dangerous, just change your own world quickly, and then leave and return to your own world. After letting go of the female knight, Miyamoto continued to wander the streets. For this steel and concrete world, for some reason, Miyamoto felt that he was not so used to it. Maybe it was because he stayed in the Hokage world for too long, so he was more or less unfamiliar. The most important thing is that in the Hokage world, I have already married and established a business, but here, I am a person who exists with a false identity. In 1 week, using illusion, Miyamoto not only got money, but also got an identity, which is quite good. The boring world, for now, for me, that kind of life is still suitable for me. Glancing at the busy floating crowd, Miyamoto said in his heart. When I was in Hokage before, I kind of missed the modern life, but now I have fulfilled such a small wish, except for the first 2 days, now Miyamoto feels pretty empty. Since the last time I went shopping and encountered such a thing, Miyamoto has never gone out again, and has been bored at home. He showed his strength, not once or twice, and the relevant departments must have noticed it. For unnecessary trouble, it's better to stay at home. After all, this world is just an ordinary world after all. Staying at home like this, after one ancestor, as expected. Altair, you won't believe me. A month passed, Miyamoto had a smile on his face, and said something. Ding dong. At this moment, the doorbell rang. Miyamoto was stunned, came to the door, opened the door directly, and looked up at the 3 people who appeared at the door. Yo, finally let you find it. The ones standing at the door were none other than Meteora, Seleja, and another ordinary person that Miyamoto didn't know, a woman with a very formal temperament. Looking at her dress, Miyamoto guessed a lot about her identity. Staff of relevant departments. P.S. This is chapter 133, thank you for your support, thank you very much. Since many friends don't know it, this volume, with a few more chapters, will be over. My purpose lies in everything. Chapter 133. Junji's story is not over. 4/5. Chapter 133. Excuse me. Your Highness Miyamoto. After introducing himself with great ceremonies, Miyamoto let 3 people in, including Aki Kikuchihara, one of the high-level officials in the department concerned. After letting the 3 people in, Miyamoto didn't intend to entertain them. He sat on his sofa directly, raised his eyes, and looked at the 3 people sitting opposite. Tell me about your intention and purpose of coming here. If you are worried that I will affect your plans, you don't need to say anything. I don't have any feelings about your dispensable plans. Hearing Miyamoto's words, Meteora glanced at the 2 people around him, then looked up at Miyamoto. Your Highness Miyamoto, is it a creature? Shaking his head in denial, Miyamoto spoke. I am not a creature, I am just a traveler from another world. By the way, let's see if we can kill Altair. Visitors from Otherworld? Hearing Miyamoto's words, the faces of the 3 changed slightly, and looking at Miyamoto, their eyes became respectful. The existence of traveling between dimensions obviously does not exist at the same level. Among the currently known people, only Altair is able to do this. After sorting out his thoughts, Meteora spoke again. His Highness Miyamoto, will you help us if we ask for it? Still shaking his head, Miyamoto looked up, quite calmly. This has nothing to do with me, so I won't make a move. The atmosphere sank slightly, and Meteora nodded as expected. After glancing at the 2 people around him, he asked Miyamoto. His Royal Highness Miyamoto, it is really presumptuous to pay a sudden visit today. From our side, we have a request. We hope that His Royal Highness Miyamoto can try to avoid using Li Huang in front of the public as much as possible. Please be sure to agree. Shaking his brows, Miyamoto approached Meteora with aggressive eyes. Why should I promise you? The destruction of the world, for me. It doesn't matter much. Being stared at by Miyamoto, Meteora's face changed slightly, and Seleja and Kikuchihara looked at Miyamoto with vigilance. Such an above-board act of threatening people and selling their lust, 2 women with justice in their hearts can't stand it anymore. Miyamoto looked so much like a pervert. Ignoring the 2, Miyamoto looked directly at Meteora. You should know what I want. With a slightly stiff face, Meteora nodded, and Taguchi said. But that is my most precious treasure, and if I give it to you, you won't use it. Hearing Meteora's words, Miyamoto shook his head and put his hand on Meteora's head. Copy options. Choice 1. Special Auxiliary Items Book of 1000 Miles. Option 2. Special Auxiliary Skills Magic Release. Option 3. Special Support is just 10,000 miles of magic. Option 4. Absolute Rationality. After seeing the 4 options in his eyes, Miyamoto showed a satisfied smile on his face, glanced at the puzzled Meteora, and said in his heart, "Copy option 1, copy option 2, copy option 3. After copying, Miyamoto withdrew his hand, and under the puzzled eyes of the 3 people in Meteora, his left hand spread slightly. A wave of golden chakra was conveyed, and in Miyamoto's hands, it condensed into a golden magic book. The Book of 1000 Miles is pretty good. A smile appeared on Miyamoto's face. He glanced at the 3 Meteora people in front of him, and flicked at them. A golden magic circle appeared at the feet of the 3 of them, engulfing the master directly before the 3 of them could react. After closing the book, Miyamoto nodded in satisfaction. Not bad. If you can travel through the dimensions and build a magic circle, it will save you a lot of trouble. It seems that it is not impossible. Miyamoto, whispering like this, began to slowly receive the huge amount of magic knowledge in his mind. Wanli magic, all the magic in the Wanli library. Unlike Meteora's magic, Miyamoto's magic consumes chakra. The current chakra of Miyamoto is infinite. In the corner of little garden downstairs where Miyamoto lived temporarily, the voices of the 3 of Meteora appeared here, and the 3 looked at each other with bewildered faces. After a long time, Meteora took out his Book of 1000 Miles, recalling the golden light that appeared in Miyamoto's hands. The Book of 1000 Miles seemed to emit holy light, and he was always proud of holding the most precious Book of 1000 Miles. Meteora suddenly felt like a book of 10,000 miles. Very frustrating. Using 3 copies at a time, Miyamoto got the greatest value from Teola, the 2 things the world wanted the most, and he had already got it. Although there is not much increase in Miyamoto's hard power, but everything can't just look at the surface. Miyamoto's soft power. Absolutely horrible. Needless to say, everything is omnipresent. Every once in a while, there will be unknown skill blessings, and the auxiliary ability of the Book of 1000 Miles is even more powerful. The most important thing is that among the magics obtained, there are many forbidden magics that even Meteora has never used. Of course, the consumption of such taboo magic is definitely not small. It is definitely worth trying to travel through dimensions this time. As the sun and the moon go by, it has been 3 months since Miyamoto came to this world. But I don't know if it's because of knowing something. Altair didn't bother to find Miyamoto at all during this period of time, but directly lurked. Miyamoto searched according to his memory, but he never found Altair, not even a few of her subordinates. Logically speaking, this should be impossible. After all, her purpose is to make the world conflict. In the room, Miyamoto held the Book of 1000 Miles, and the chakra, which was so huge that it distorted the space, gushed out, and built a small, very mysterious magic circle on the ground. Waves of fluctuations radiated out. This well-decorated room was suddenly devastated. Miyamoto's black hair was flying. If he used magic power instead of chakra, Miyamoto would look like a great magician at the moment. Dimension transfer. Qian Dejao. Rinne's Sharingan was concentrated in both eyes. Miyamoto's face was serious, and he directly urged himself to combine the dimensional shift magic circle that he had figured out during this period of time by combining everything and magic. Huge power radiated out, and Miyamoto's figure instantly disappeared from the world, followed by a huge explosion, and this luxury apartment was completely destroyed. The moment Miyamoto left, in a dilapidated building, Altair's body appeared in a bright light. He raised his hand and drew a light curtain in front of him, on which there were symbols representing all the creatures transferred to this world, and among them, the one placed by Altair, representing the symbol of Miyamoto, was flickering, slowly disappears. With a serious face, Altair lowered his military cap and murmured, "Have you finally left? Then the plan can begin. P.S. This is chapter 133, thank you for your support. Junji is very important, and this story is far from over." Chapter 134 4 People Shuttle 5/5 Chapter 134 Miyamoto doesn't know about Altair's plan, whether it will change the plot or not, Miyamoto doesn't care. But he always had a feeling that he and Altair might meet again in a certain world in the future. On an open space, a golden magic circle suddenly appeared, and then Miyamoto's body emerged from the magic circle. After a little perception, a smile appeared on Miyamoto's face. The dimension transfer magic has succeeded. I have to say that just after thinking about it, Miyamoto dared to try it himself. This is definitely not an ordinary bold and hearty enough thick line. He did not fail at all and made him succeed. After feeling it for a while, Miyamoto's figure turned into a lightning bolt and disappeared directly in place. Konoha, Miyamoto's home. I'm back. Walking into the small courtyard, Miyamoto could clearly perceive that his 3 women were all at home. Just pushed open the door, the position of the entrance, Hinata looked at Miyamoto with joy. Welcome back, Miyamoto-kun. Even though he is married, Miyamoto still likes to hear Hinata call himself softly Miyamoto-kun. Well, this is simply a treat. After 3 months away, I really want to kill Miyamoto. Without any hesitation, I picked up Hinata and ran straight to the bedroom. I felt a little impatient in my urgency. 040. Zaobi is better than a newlywed, and he and Hinata, not only Zaobi, but also a newlywed. Miyamoto-kun. Hong-san and Tamari-san are here. Hinata's face was blushing, but she didn't resist Miyamoto, but said something in a low voice. Putting Hinata on the bed with a wicked smile, Miyamoto. I know, while talking, he rushed out, and when he came back, he carried a beautiful woman on his shoulders. Looking back and hugging always makes sense, this time the flavor has become crazy. Miyamoto's house at night, lying on Hong's lap, admiring the night sky with his 3 wives. The reason why I came back so late this time is because of the dimensional shuttle. After waiting for a while, Miyamoto spoke, and looked at his 3 wives in a blink of an eye. Use it once, it will take more than 3 months before you can use it again. The cooling time of skills also exists in the Hokage world. Uchiha Shisui's distinguished heavenly gods is like this. Without Hashirama cells, it takes more than 10 years to use it once. This is not an ordinary cooldown time. Uchiha Sasuke Rinnegan's sky power also has a BHBJ cooldown time. So the 3 red people understand. And long before Miyamoto left, the 3 of them had already made preparations. Even if Miyamoto postponed his return for 2 or 3 years, it would not be surprising. As for whether they will come back or not, Hong and the others have never thought about it. Miyamoto never said but never did, he would come back, this, they blindly believed. That is to say, the next time you leave will be 3 months later? Tamari looked at Miyamoto and asked. Hearing this, Miyamoto smiled slightly, took Tamari's hand, and said with firm eyes and serious eyes. No, it's us. I will take the 3 of you on the next trip, and I will not give up until my life is resolved. Hearing Miyamoto's words, the 3 of Hinata were stunned for a moment, seeing Miyamoto's already decided expression, all 3 nodded. All 3 of them are extremely outstanding existences among ninjas. Although they are women, they still have that kind of adventure in their hearts, and the mind of chasing wind and rain. Otherworld travel sounds pretty good. 3 months later, after the arrangements were made, Miyamoto and his party of 4 left Konoha, claiming that they were going to travel the ninja world, but this was not the case. In a hidden valley, the 4 of Miyamoto are here. The 3 of Hinata, who are wearing regular uniforms, are a little nervous. Looking at Miyamoto standing in front, the eyes of the 3 become firm. Big deal, just die. Are you ready? Miyamoto, who had already experienced it once, saw the nervousness of the 3 and asked. I'm going to start teleportation. This time the teleportation is random. It's not like last time, it can barely capture Altair's breath. So, if we are unlucky, if we are teleported to certain worlds, we may be in danger. This is the risk of dimension shifting, which is inevitable. Even if Miyamoto can use some means in front of him, he can roughly find a world where his power is not too strong, but there are contingencies in everything. I don't know if it's because he has a special reason, but Miyamoto can roughly feel where he should go next. Hearing Miyamoto's words, Master Hinata smiled slightly. Miyamoto-kun. Let's get started. Hearing Hinata's words, Miyamoto stretched out his right hand and grabbed Hinata. After the 4 of them held hands, Miyamoto's face was serious, and he grabbed it with his left hand, and the golden book of 10,000 miles appeared in Miyamoto's hand. The extremely huge chakra erupted, and a huge magic circle emerged on the ground, directly enveloping the 4 of Miyamoto. So, a new adventure, let's begin. Miyamoto's face was serious, and he spoke. As soon as the words fell, the 4 people in the valley disappeared immediately. Thousands of miles of clear skies should have been filled with vitality, but the small town at this moment was completely silent. The small town is empty, and even some streets have been completely destroyed. It is obvious that it is an abandoned small town. Buzz, a huge magic circle formed on the ground, and when the magic circle disappeared, 4 figures holding hands appeared here, bathed in golden light. None other than the 4 Miyamoto who traveled through the dimension. Just appeared. Miyamoto looked around a little bit, his eyes flickered slightly. Reached. Looking at this, what we have arrived at should not be a peaceful world. The 3 of Hinata looked at each other and couldn't help turning their heads to look at Ben, who had the same backbone. What now? Miyamoto-kun. Hearing Hinata's words, Miyamoto smiled slightly, the Rinne Sharingan in the eyes opened directly, and the terrifying insight radiated out, and Miyamoto saw where they were now and what it was. Just an island, surrounded by the sea, this small town, no people. Or rather, there are no ordinary people. Looking back, Miyamoto looked in a certain direction with a smile on his face. Find someone to ask and you'll know, Miyamoto said lightly. We've come to an interesting world, quite an interesting world. While talking, Miyamoto raised his hand. Repulsion. A visible repulsion barrier blocked the 4 of them, and then they. Boom. P.S. This is chapter 134, thank you for your support, thank you very much. Chapter 135 Group Destruction Buggy 1/5 Chapter 135. Boom. The explosion sounded, and the shells blasted from the center of the city directly hit the repulsion force without hurting anyone. This is. The 3 of Hinata immediately put on a posture to meet the enemy, and looked solemnly at the place where the shells hit. Miyamoto's eyes showed a sneer. Red, Hinata, Minju. After saying that, Miyamoto raised his hand in a general fighting gesture. Swish swish swish. The three of Hinata used the body flicker technique to leave directly, and Miyamoto did the same, moving directly towards the direction of the cannonball that hit it just now. I didn't expect to come to this world, but I can be here, and there are many things to do. 27. Miyamoto's eyes flickered, and he muttered something, with a thoughtful expression on his face. In this world, Miyamoto is quite familiar with the phenomenal manga world, pirates, in his previous life. And the person who just attacked here, not others, under Miyamoto's Rinne Sharingan, has seen the clown buggy, one of the 3 East Blue pirates who often experimented with buggy bullets in Orangetown, was a buggy who used to be a colleague of the red-haired Shanks, one of the 4 emperors. Among the strength of the 4 Miyamotos, Tamari, who is the weakest, is in existence at the elite Jonin level. The 3 of Hinata fought at the same time. A small buggy pirate group really doesn't need to spend too much effort. Except when dealing with Chop Chop Fruit's clown buggy, some small accidents happened, and the rest of the buggy pirates were all defeated, and all those who resisted was killed. Miyamoto didn't even move, and the gagged clown buggy was brought in front of Miyamoto. Miyamoto-kun. This guy is the leader of those who attacked us. Hinata dealt with Buggy, and said, this guy's blood inheritance limit is very special, just like Hidan back then, he can't be killed. Hearing Hinata's words, Miyamoto smiled slightly and looked at Buggy. No. Hinata, you are wrong, this guy's ability is not the limit of the blood succession. It's a special ability obtained after eating something called devil fruit, which is pretty good. Miyamoto flipped through the Book of Thousand Miles pretendingly, then closed the book and said, the information given by the Book of Thousand Miles is not too much, so we need to collect some information. Tamari, Hong, this guy, I'll leave it to you. Hearing Miyamoto's words, Hong and Tamari both nodded, and their eyes fell on the clown buggy quite fiercely. In any case, intelligence is very important. As a ninja, everyone is good at interrogating intelligence, and Hong is one of the best. Are these the treasures they looted? In Buggy's treasury, Hinata had a smile on his face, looking at these not many gold coins, but for Miyamoto, it was enough. Nodding his head, Miyamoto spread out a storage scroll on the ground. Hinata, lend a hand, we'll put these belongings away, we may need them later. After Ben said good luck, he and Hinata worked together to collect the treasure. By the way, I sorted it out and took out some materials. After collecting all the things, Miyamoto and Hinata found Hong and Tamari who had finished the interrogation. How about it? Seeing the surprised looks of Hong and Tamari, Miyamoto couldn't help asking. Did you get any useful information? Seeing that Miyamoto and Hinata came back, Hong nodded and said directly. Well, this world is quite wonderful. Miyamoto, who had been aware of it for a long time, nodded and motioned to Hong to wait a while, before coming to a member of the female pirate group. Orange hair, relatively young, female, Miyamoto probably knows who this girl is. Genius navigator, Nami. Miyamoto is not a pure otaku, nor is he a guy with a sperm and a brain. What about Nami has nothing to do with him. The main reason for coming here, raise your hand and press it on Nami's head, on Miyamoto's retina. Copy options. Option 1, top-notch nautical flair. Option 2, basic nautical knowledge. Option 3, advanced chart production. With only 3 options, Miyamoto's goal is to copy option 1, copy option 2. After copying, Miyamoto glanced at Nami, and then returned to the 3 of Hinata. Let's go, in this world, there seems to be something that can achieve our goal, but it should not be simple. Hearing Miyamoto's words, the 3 of Hinata nodded as a matter of course. Their goal is eternal life. The small goal is to increase the lifespan. No matter what the world is good, the goal of lifespan and eternal life is quite difficult to achieve. Ask for flowers, at the beginning, the 3 of them didn't think it was easy to achieve. In Hong's elaboration and Temari's supplement, the general plate of this world has gradually formed in the hearts of the 3 women. Although Buggy is frustrating enough, even a Murloc Arlong might not be as strong as him. After all, he used to follow Roger, the Pirate King. Using Anbu's method of extracting memory, Hong has observed many things in the deep memory of Buggy's brain. With Hong's strength, it is not so difficult to do this. 3 days later, a medium-sized sailing ship sailed on the sea. On the sailboat, Miyamoto, who had become a navigator, looked helplessly at the 3 Hinata, who were not fresh yet. After all, it is a world that is not inferior to Hokage, and even to a certain extent, is much more exciting than Hokage. These 3 days, they are still quite interested in learning about the wonders of this world. Finding the thing of immortality, don't be in a hurry, it's better to have fun. The 3 of them who gradually relaxed and began to adapt to sailing slowly, Miyamoto felt comfortable in his heart just looking at it. Rubbing his chin, he pointed straight to the 3 of Hinata. Should we form a pirate group? After all, we can't join Marine or something. And after becoming a pirate, there should be quite a few people who come to trouble us. In this case, the speed of collecting information will also be very fast. Hearing Miyamoto's words, the 3 of Hinata looked at each other, and Tamari frowned. It looks good too. Although it always feels like we have become pirates or something, it's so strange. Hong didn't speak, she didn't care, as long as the family was together. Instead of thinking about this, it's better to work hard with Miyamoto at night to increase the number of family members. Hinata's small eyes are flickering, although she is very quiet, but Hinata also has her own active side. I have no opinion. I have no comments, so I will make a decision directly. Yaxi, then it's decided, we will form a pirate group. P.S. This is chapter 135. Thank you for your support. After changing the world, the subscription dropped so badly that the author just stopped reading it and just finished writing it. Chapter 136 Future Plans 2/5 Chapter 136 On the sea, the medium-sized sailboat is sailing with the wind, and Tamari is operating the ship to move forward. And Miyamoto was holding a small book, and recorded the next arrangement in Chinese characters. Neither Hinata nor Hong bothered Miyamoto. The next itinerary, with a serious look in Miyamoto's eyes, he wrote down his plan with a pen. First of all, the first thing is to improve the strength. The food in this world is rich in nutrients, especially sea kings, and the food supplement plan to enhance physical fitness must be carried out. Although he doesn't want to admit it, Miyamoto still wants to say that people in One Piece world are better than Hokage in terms of physique. Although for Miyamoto, who has an immortal body, his physique is also at the top in this world. After all, after cheat optimization, his physique is quite pervert. But Hong and Hinata still have the 180 bow. The three of them can't do it, they have to be strengthened. Although in terms of combat effectiveness alone, the three of Tamari should be at the level of marine generals. As for the specifics, Zeben is not very clear. The next route. Because of the previous plan to improve strength, Miyamoto wrote directly in his small notebook. Go to Loguetown for a little resupply, then enter the Calm Belt. Enter the Calm Belt. For one thing, Calm Belt has enough sea kings. Secondly, the complete hockey practice method of the Daughter Kingdom can just be used to strengthen the methods of the three Hinata. In the future, we will definitely meet Logia's opponent, so hockey's cultivation method must be acquired. Stopped writing. Miyamoto's gaze was serious. It doesn't matter if the daughter's country is destroyed for this reason, it's not impossible for Miyamoto to do such a thing. Pulling a meteorite from the sky is enough for them to suffer. After confirming the itinerary of the daughter country, Miyamoto started writing again and wrote 2 words. Op fruit as well as pure gold. Of these 2 things, one is in the hands of that so and so, Miyamoto forgot, but remember that the other will become a supernova, and he will always be found. Pure gold, just wearing it, can make a person live for 200 years. Obtaining this thing can at least temporarily solve the problem. So new world, it must be going. After putting away the small books, Miyamoto had a smile on his face, and it was easy to do things with a goal. As for Miyamoto's own strength, he is not worried. With a copy in hand, Conqueror's Hockey is at your fingertips. As for Devil Fruit, Miyamoto does not intend to let Hinata and the others eat it. Unless the problem of side effects can be solved, Miyamoto will not let them try it. Don't worry about Miyamoto's own words, after all, Cheat's optimization function is not a joke. You must also pay attention to the news of Devil Fruit, maybe when there will be a mysterious fruit that can achieve the purpose of longevity in an alternative way? It's not impossible. Miyamoto-kun, do you have a goal? Where shall we go next? Seeing Miyamoto put away the notebook, Hinata asked. Hong and Tamari also looked over. Nodding, Miyamoto had a smile on his face. Of course it's ready. Next, the first goal is to improve your physique, and then learn the special abilities of this world first. After Miyamoto finished speaking, his red eyes lit up, and he asked. Hockey? Nodding his head, Miyamoto stared brightly. It doesn't matter which world it is, strength must be possessed, and you must plan for eternal life. I need your help. A man who is strong enough to rival the entire ninja world, said these words. The three of Hinata looked at each other, and then nodded seriously. Understood. Grinning, Miyamoto steered the sailboat himself and looked forward. Yaxi, then, next, go to Loguetown first. It's just right, don't you guys want to see the existence and death place that started a great era? Just go there and have fun. Hearing Miyamoto's words, all 3 of them smiled and nodded. Very good. Loguetown, where it begins and ends. A high-profile medium-sized sailboat docked in Loguetown, with a flag that had never been seen on it, because there was no general pirate logo, so everyone thought it was an ordinary ship and didn't care. It was the 3 women on the boat who were watching curiously, which attracted people's attention. Hinata, Hong, and Tamari, 3 beauties with different temperaments, are beautiful scenery wherever they go. After parking the boat, Miyamoto glanced at the 3 women with a confident look on his face. Let's go. Let's take you to appreciate the style of Otherworld. After saying this, Miyamoto walked towards the front, and Hinata and the 3 walked towards the Loguetown arm in arm, and there was no doubt that the faces of the 3 were full of curiosity. Stop and go along the way, and visit some stores. This journey is very happy. After gradually leaving the commercial street and coming to the side of the execution platform, the atmosphere is different. The people I met along the way, all of them had a faint murderous look and fierce eyes, and they were obviously pirates. In the eyes of these pirates, Miyamoto and the others are just newcomers, and they all look very unfriendly. This is where the One Piece Roger was executed. Coming to the execution platform, Miyamoto said casually, without any sense of respect. Roger, in Miyamoto's view, is actually mixed, and he doesn't comment. Hey hey hey, as soon as Miyamoto finished speaking, some arrogant pirates around looked at Miyamoto with unfriendly expressions. Little ghost, are you a pirate too? Hearing someone talking, Miyamoto glanced at the other person flatly, without speaking, raised his hand. Come over. A gravitational force directly acted on the opponent's body, dragging him in front of him. Rene's Sharingan appeared in Miyamoto's eyes, and grabbed the top of the person's head with one hand. The way of the world, 4.2 slowly raised his hand, and a transparent white figure was pulled out from the person's body. With the soul being drawn out, the person died completely in a state of extreme pain. After all this was done, Miyamoto acted as if nothing had happened. The three of Hinata all had a normal look on their faces, which made all the pirates present stupefied, and then took back their own cards one by one. Look. Compared with the vicious look just now, it is really hard to urinate now. The chatter and laughter, and the unpredictable ways of killing people all showed that this group of four was not easy to mess with. With a sneer and a look at these low-profile pirates, Miyamoto looked away. After staying on the execution platform for a while, the three of Miyamoto left directly to replenish supplies and prepare to return to the ship. P.S. This is Chapter 136, thank you for your support. Chapter 137 The Voyage of the Calm Belt 3/5 Chapter 137. The first purpose of coming to Loguetown is to accompany the three of Hinata to play, and the second purpose is to replenish supplies and exchange Buggy's treasure for Bailey. After doing all this, Miyamoto and his party left Loguetown and set sail again. Sailing on the sea is quite boring, but the three girls who have almost adapted to the situation of Pirate World have given Miyamoto a lot of benefits during this period. Swimsuits, bikinis, etc. are really cute. This sea voyage is never boring, especially after Miyamoto needed their strength before, and after the three women consciously trained, heavy books are a feast for the eyes every day. The sailing speed of Miyamoto's boat was not very slow, and the boat was heading directly towards Calm Belt. It didn't take long for the boat to approach Calm Belt directly. Is this the Calm Belt? On the endless sea without any waves, just entering the Calm Belt, the three of Hinata looked at the absolutely calm sea with curiosity, and the sailboat had stopped moving 17. Hearing Hinata's curious voice, there was a strange color on the red face. According to the information obtained, this sea area is quite dangerous, and there is a huge monster called Sea Kings on the bottom of the sea. Hearing Hong's words, she had never really seen the three daughters of Sea Kings, and she had doubts on her face. Miyamoto-kun, do you think Sea Kings is stronger than Tailed Beast? Hearing this question, Miyamoto was stunned for a moment and said, if it is strong, of course the Tailed Beast is stronger. But Sea Kings are much bigger than Tailed Beasts. Miyamoto explained in a compromise, Sea Kings are really huge, but if they are really powerful, of course the Tailed Beasts are more powerful. After all, the Tailed Beasts are considered the top combat power in the Hokage world, at cage-level pinnacle of existence. Conservatively estimating the combat strength, it should be at the elite Vice Admiral level of the naval headquarters, or even powerful, such as the Nine Tails 8 Tails, can reach the Quasi-Admiral level. But it will definitely not be Admiral's opponent, Marine Admiral, above this sea, belongs to the existence at the top of the pyramid. Sea Kings, we will see each other sooner or later, for now, let's go forward first. Miyamoto said, after retracting the sail, he raised his hand and a repulsive force acted on the water surface on both sides, and the sailboat that had stayed in place, began to sail HTZ forward quickly. Under the action of repulsion, the sailboat moved forward normally, and Miyamoto sat at the bow. Suddenly, boom! In front of the sea, there was a turbulent wave, and a huge Sea Kings jumped out of the sea, aiming at the sailboat with precise aim. Facing the terrifying Sea Kings with a body as large as a mountain, Miyamoto raised his hand expressionlessly, and after Rene's Sharingan appeared in his eyes, a golden sword condensed in his hand. Golden wheels explode. Miyamoto had no expression on his face, and slashed down with a big sword. Jung. Accompanied by the light of the sword, the body of the huge Sea Kings, which could swallow the sailboat in one bite, split into two, and fell towards the two sides of the sailboat. At the same time, the repulsive force acting on the sailboat increased, and it quickly left the area. Are there Sea Kings again? Miyamoto just made such a movement. The three of Hinata who were in the cabin came out in cool clothes. Hinata said with emotion. This has happened many times, haven't we reached the country Miyamoto-kun mentioned? A country full of women? Miyamoto nodded, and Taguchi said, probably soon. We entered the Calm Belt and headed directly towards this side. After calculating the time, we have already entered the two sides of the Grand Line. It shouldn't take long. After Miyamoto said something, his eyes suddenly focused, and he looked towards the front of the sea level. Go and get dressed first. The Rene's Sharingan of Miyamoto's gaze, the terrifying vision, is similar to a telescope, looking up at a small black spot that appeared on the sea level in the distance in the afternoon. Hearing Miyamoto's words, the three of Hinata looked at each other, then walked directly into the cabin, and quickly changed into clothes that were convenient for fighting. The three stood quietly behind Miyamoto. Tamari held his own 3-star fan. With a serious look in his eyes, he said. Finally meeting someone? Calm Belt encountered someone during the voyage. According to intelligence, it is very likely to be Marine. Want to fight? Captain. He. This question is for Miyamoto. After all, Miyamoto is their backbone. Turning to look at Temari beside him, a smile appeared on Miyamoto's face. It's all right, let's see if it's a marine. With a little expectation in mind, Miyamoto looked at the ships sailing from the opposite side, getting closer and closer. If it's marine, it shouldn't be difficult for them to be bounty pirates now. If it is a pirate, the pirates sailing on the calm belt, no matter how you think about it, there are only the Kusnake family. Getting closer and closer, Miyamoto's eyes shone with joy. Get ready to fight. Hearing Miyamoto's words, Temari directly opened his 3-star fan, stood at the bow of the ship, and looked at the opposite ship that he had seen clearly with a serious face. Not a marine warship, but a ship with a pirate logo. After the two sides entered a certain distance, a wave of arrows suddenly shot out from the opposite ship. Seeing this scene, Temari showed a sneer on his face, and flicked the Samsung fan in his hand. Wind-style Kamaitachi. Bang! The huge hurricane swept across the rain of arrows shooting towards them, without exception, all of them were blocked. Clang! Putting the Samsung fan behind him, a sneer appeared on Temari's face. 410. This kind of attack is like a pediatric case. Arrow Rain's attack is much less threatening than the kunai shuriken at close range. Miyamoto nodded, glanced at the pirate flag, a smile appeared on Miyamoto's face. Don't underestimate this pirate group, the abilities of this world are so strange. Hearing Miyamoto's words, Hong's eyes flickered slightly, and he asked. Miyamoto-kun, do you already know which pirate group this is? Nodding, Miyamoto said, I paid close attention to the information of the pirates in this world. This pirate group is our goal. Hearing Miyamoto's words, Hong's gaze shifted to the pirate ship that was already quite close. At the same time, the faces of the three of them became serious. A huge pirate ship with a feminine style, the flag looks like the sun, but if you look closely, it is a skull wrapped in 9 snakes. On the deck, there are women of different heights, revealing clothes, uneven, and some look like deformed women. These are nothing, but the real reason for the three of Hinata to be dignified is because this ship is pulled by 2 huge sea snakes that look like small sea kings. The sea kings have seen them before, and the pirate group that can control the sea kings should be quite powerful. P.S. This is Chapter 137, thank you for your support. Chapter 138 Empress 4/5 Chapter 138, 9 Snake Pirates, finally found. With a smile on Miyamoto's face, he looked at this huge ship from the daughter country. You three don't make a move, let me do it, it's just a good time for you to experience the special abilities of this world. When Miyamoto spoke, the whole person floated in the air, folded his hands, and looked at the people of the 9 snake pirates with a sneer on his face. Although all of them were women, the beauties among them. Almost none. In addition, these people, more or less, have killing intent, obviously they're not good people. Pirates are pirates. Like the Straw Hat Pirates, there are not many at all, or even none at all. A murderer is a murderer, whether he is dubbed justice or friendship, and that will never change. It doesn't change just because you are a man or a woman. Flying in the air, a sneer appeared on Miyamoto's face, and the aura that had never erupted since coming to this world was slowly exuding. The air was silent, and there were slight waves on the calm sea surface. The originally clear skies suddenly turned scarlet. Murderous look, unrivaled, the murderous aura that can only be condensed by massacring tens of thousands of people. The members of the 9 snake pirates just took a look at Miyamoto, who was suspended in the air. They trembled all over, and those who lacked strength even softened their bodies. Their faces were pale, and their eyes were absent-minded. There is no resistance. Each of them didn't even dare to breathe, as if they were about to suffocate. This is not Conqueror's Haki, this is just Miyamoto as a strong man, as the world's strongest aura and the accumulated murderous aura. The strong fear that the weak can form a mental illusion is similar to Conqueror's Haki. Just at this time, snort. There was a cold snort, followed by another terrifying coercion that directly impacted people's soul consciousness. While blocking Miyamoto's aura, part of it pressed towards Hong. Hinata and Temari, 3 people. A tall and slender woman walked out of the cabin, looked up at Miyamoto, with a dignified and majestic look on her face. Who allowed you to attack your concubine's subjects? Looking at the person who appeared, Miyamoto's face showed a clear color. The captain of the 9 snake pirates, the only female in the 7 warlords of the sea, the king of Amazon's daughter country, and the Empress Boa Hancock. And this momentum is exactly the Conqueror's Haki among the target Conqueror's Haki of this trip. This woman is strong. On the sailing boat, Yuji was full of personality, and Temari had the most explosive temper. After feeling Boa Hancock's Conqueror's Haki, there was a little sweat on his forehead, and he spoke. Hong's strength is the strongest. Among the cage levels, it is quite prominent, and here, it is probably the strength of the Marine Vice Admiral level. This is just Miyamoto's estimate, whether it is true or not, we will not know until we have played against each other. Feeling that this special aura was able to compete with his own aura, Miyamoto's face was flat. It's finally out, so, with a flash in his eyes, Miyamoto took a step forward and slowly raised his hand. Seeing Miyamoto's movements, Boa Hancock's face was dignified, and he made a defensive posture. His eyes stared at Miyamoto, observation Haki even radiated out, and armament Haki was also wrapped around his body. Just after Boa Hancock got his defense ready, Miyamoto was no nonsense. Water-style water dragon bomb technique. After making a seal casually, a huge water dragon rose and condensed from the seawater, locking onto Boa Hancock. Can fly and have the ability to control water? Seeing the water dragon that has locked himself, Boa Hancock's face showed a dignified color, without any hesitation. Slave arrow. Touching his lips lightly with his finger, the fruit ability was activated, and a huge pink heart-shaped ignorance was transformed into a huge pink heart-shaped ignorance, which was pulled apart like a bow and arrow, and the peach-colored flying arrows directly hit Miyamoto's water dragon. Under the stupefied gazes of the three of Tamari, the body of the water dragon was directly petrified and shattered. See? This is the ability of Devil Fruit. After demonstrating the fruit ability, Miyamoto turned his eyes to the three Tamari on board and said, "If you are fighting against a capable person, you must be absolutely careful, otherwise, if you are not careful, you will be recruited." After saying this, Miyamoto turned to look at Boa Hancock. You actually. Seeing what Miyamoto is doing, Boa Hancock still doesn't understand. I was being played by Miyamoto as a monkey, and I showed it to Miyamoto's women. Angry in his heart, Boa Hancock turned his head slightly, made a pitiful look, and looked at Miyamoto in the air. It's really too much for you to play with my concubine like this. Sweet fruit, charm. There was no fluctuation in his heart. Miyamoto looked at Boa Hancock like this, and his eyes flashed. Swish. The sound of piercing the air resounded in front of Boa Hancock, and Boa Hancock's expression changed when observation Haki was driving. The figure of Miyamoto came to Boa Hancock in an instant, his eyes were flat, his face was calm, and he had no desire for Boa Hancock in his heart. Monster Power Fist. Boom. Boom. The repelling punch directly hit Boa Hancock's abdomen, and with a merciless punch, Boa Hancock's body was directly blasted away. Cough cough cough. Boa Hancock who was blown away, even though he used armament Haki to protect himself, but the huge power of the strange power fist and the repulsive force still made Boa Hancock quite uncomfortable. As soon as it landed, Miyamoto raised his hand and grasped slightly. Universal pull. Boa Hancock's body flew towards Miyamoto completely uncontrollably. The neck was pinched by Miyamoto. This gravitational force not only imprisoned Boa Hancock's body, but also faintly gathered the blood of Boa Hancock's whole body towards the neck. A hand was raised, and one of Tensagen's skills, puppet control, was placed directly on Boa Hancock's head, and the memory in Boa Hancock's mind was checked by Miyamoto after 10 seconds. Good, too clean. His eyes were flat. Although he saw the misery of Boa Hancock when he was a child, Miyamoto didn't like this woman. Copy Conqueror's Haki. Miyamoto glanced at Boa Hancock, directly copied the Conqueror's Haki spawned on her body, and after consuming 3 copy chances, he put down Boa Hancock. Glancing at Boa Hancock who passed out because of his memory being extracted, Miyamoto frowned and dispelled the murderous intent in his eyes. Anyway, the chance of you waking up is less than 1%, so I will let you go. As a reward for getting the Conqueror's Haki, for Boa Hancock, Miyamoto was quite rough in extracting memories, which brought a lot of burden to her brain. Whether you can wake up or not is one thing. Even if he can wake up, whether he is a waste material is another matter. Peas. This is the 138th picture. Chapter 139 Strength Improvement 5/5 Chapter 139 Calm Belt is a treasure land. For the strong, it is definitely a natural treasure house. For Miyamoto, it is even more unwilling to leave the place easily. At least until the three of Hinata have not practiced armament Haki and observation Haki, Miyamoto does not intend to leave Calm Belt. With natural, nutritious fishing grounds, how could Miyamoto leave? The strength of the physical body can also increase the extraction of chakra. The most important thing is that Miyamoto more or less has the intention of wanting the three of them to have more life-saving means. On an uninhabited island in the Calm Belt, a Japanese sailboat rests on a sandy beach. Miyamoto lay directly on the beach chair, enjoying the sunny afternoon. Conqueror's Haki, whether it is armed or conquerors, cheats are all boiled down to skills. I have to say that among the Shichibukai, the Empress is quite powerful. Conqueror's Haki is already at an advanced stage, coupled with Mero Mero Mello and the superb physical skills of the Daughter Kingdom. Even in the New World, the Empress's strength belongs to the ranks of the strong and can occupy a place. According to the memory of the Empress, according to the records of the Daughter Kingdom, except for Conqueror's Haki, which does not have a clear classification, Armament Haki and Observation Haki have is defined as Beginner, Intermediate, Advanced, Top, and the entire ocean, the most 500 upgrades that few people can achieve. Conqueror's Haki is not sure. Some people are the highest level when they wake up, and some people are only juniors when they wake up. Miyamoto currently speculates that there is one and only one person who owns the highest level Conqueror's Haki. Redhead Shanks. And the most senior armament Haki, Miyamoto's speculation, Garp the Fist among them. As for the most advanced observation Haki, the one who can reach this step, for the time being, may be Ka or the son of the ant. Regardless of Conqueror's Haki or observation Haki, Miyamoto doesn't care that much. What Miyamoto values more is armament Haki. Copy Hancock's Conqueror's Haki up to today. Miyamoto has improved on the original basis. Advanced to the top-level armament Haki, this is his reserved method to deal with Logia fruit ability users. After all, I don't know if my chakra can work or not. Relying on Rinne Sharingan's special support, observation Haki also reached the top. As for Conqueror's Haki, it's still the original advanced form. This is mainly due to Miyamoto's temperament. Although he has the qualifications of a king, Miyamoto's indifferent personality also makes it difficult for Conqueror's Haki to go further. Armament Haki and observation Haki. After a natural breakthrough, Miyamoto's daily task is to prepare food. Carefully selected top sea kings, with Miyamoto's strength, it is not a problem at all if he wants to do it. Really, even if Kaido, the strongest creature in this world, falls into the hands of Miyamoto, he still has to kneel. Even if it can't be killed, it can still be sealed, right? The planetary devastation in full swing may not be as good as the Six Paths planetary devastation, but sending Kaido into the sky as the moon, there is no problem at all. Standing above the strength of Six Paths, Miyamoto is also worthy of being a world-class powerhouse in the world of One Piece. I just don't know if I can win world government's hidden means. On the beach, Hinata was panting heavily, looking at Miyamoto with a serious face, without opening her eyes, and using this normal physical technique to attack the palace gate non-stop. After nearly 3 months of hell training, Miyamoto began to check the training results of Hinata and Temari. If it is red, it is not necessary. Hong's strength has improved the fastest, and has reached Miyamoto's standard. Hinata attacked Miyamoto again, even faster. Without the use of chakra in this world, the effect of white eyes is greatly reduced. While Hinata is practicing armament Haki, he begins to improve his gentle fist method. There is already a little prototype. I have to say, Hinata's talent is still very good. There are already some signs. The most important thing is, clang, clang, clang. The sound of the two fighting against each other came out, and there was a sound of metal and iron clashing, which represented that Hina, BHBG, Tien's arm color had reached the primary stage, and it was able to cover both hands, which was quite good. In the fight between the two, Hinata was able to avoid many of Miyamoto's attacks first, which also represented Hinata's knowledge, and it was also a beginner. Clang. After blocking Hinata's attack again, Miyamoto took Hinata's hand and said, "So far, the battle is over." Miyamoto said something, glanced at Hinata, with a satisfied smile on his face. "We have already started, and we need to train harder next time. After reaching the intermediate level, we will prepare for the next trip. Next, Temari, it's your turn." Miyamoto looked to the other side, and Temari, who was holding his own 3-star fan, spoke. After hearing Miyamoto's request, Temari stepped forward with a smile on his face. "HMPH will definitely surprise you." The voice fell. Temari held the 3-star fan, moved his body, activated the body flicker technique, and rushed directly to Miyamoto, without using ninjutsu, opened the fan. Temari was originally a white 3-star fan, covered with a layer of armament Haki, although still it is not the armament Haki that can be black and bright, but it has changed the 3-star fan. Armed hyphenation point wind cut. An invisible airblade like sword energy flew towards Miyamoto directly. As soon as his eyes lit up, Miyamoto leapt away, and the airblade directly hit the ground in front of Miyamoto. Like a sword mark, it cut deeply into the attack mark in the beach. Just as Miyamoto dodged, Temari launched the body flicker technique and was already in front of Miyamoto. The 3-star fan in his hand had been closed, and he swung down on Miyamoto simply, domineeringly, and quite effectively. Ding! The metal and iron clanging, Miyamoto's fist and the 3-star fan clashed, and there were some sparks bursting out. After one move, Temari's body pressed down slightly, and a kunai appeared in his hand, directly stabbing at Miyamoto's body. The flash of light on the kunai made Ben secretly nod. After more than 10 strokes, the two stopped again. Looking at Temari with a little helplessness, Miyamoto said, "Well, the middle-level armament Haki is indeed very strong, but the level of knowledge is not even up to the entry-level level. Temari's armed color is the strongest, and the middle-level armament Haki is quite powerful. It's just observation Haki, but there is no entry at all. Temari's Yuji character is quite good at fighting, but there are some shortcomings in observation Haki. Maybe it's because Sea King's lean meat nutrition is powerful, or it's because the three of them, as ninjas, although their physiques are not as good as people in this world, the speed of absorbing nutrients is quite fast. Taken together, the strength of the three of them is simply a leap in quality." P.S. This is Chapter 139. Chapter 140 Shaki 1/5 Chapter 140. The training time flies by quite quickly. Another month. Tomorrow, we will go to sea. Miyamoto, who was presenting delicacies to his 3 beautiful wives, said with a smile on his face. Temari has finally trained observation Haki to the initial stage, which is enough. Next, our goal is to find pure gold, and find some people. I am very interested in their abilities, and I want to see if they can be replicated with Rinne Sharingan. Although I didn't hold out too much hope, Miyamoto spoke, with a thoughtful look on his face. It is impossible to copy cheat. After copying Boa Hancock's Conqueror's Haki, Miyamoto told the 3 of them that his own Rinne Sharingan is very strong and has the ability to copy. But there are some things that cannot be copied and are limited. For the 3 girls who Miyamoto trusts 100%, they naturally believed Miyamoto's words. It feels nice to have everything centered around Miyamoto. Are you finally going to meet the strong in this world? A smile appeared on Temari's face, and he said, This time, we all have truly become stronger. Looking at Miyamoto, Temari had a look of anticipation on his face. If it was in the original world, she would already be an elite Jonin. No matter how much she improved her strength, she would not be able to become Kazekage, she would only be at home with her husband and children. But this has already come to Otherworld. With Temari's character, it is inevitable that he will not have some ideas. The man who chased after him, this idea is deeply rooted in Temari's heart. During this period, it has grown crazily. Well, with me in, Miyamoto showed a smile on his face, looked at the three women, and said, "Go ahead and make trouble. Even if it's world government, marine admiral, or 4 emperors, don't worry." In the past 4 months, Miyamoto was not only training the three of them to improve their combat effectiveness, but also told the master all the information he collected in this world. The three women, who have a clear understanding of the pattern of this world, are full of expectations for this colorful world. The legendary Sky Island, the Fishman Island 10,000 meters under the sea, the Sabaody archipelago, the 4 emperors of the New World, and the marine headquarters all made the three of them look forward to it and wanted to see it. For these requirements, with a wave of Miyamoto's hand, Tonto decided to meet. After having dinner, I had a good night's rest. The next morning, Miyamoto and others set off directly. Sea voyages, especially Grand Line voyages, are absolutely impossible without recording pointers, so Miyamoto made full preparations in advance when he was preparing in Loguetown. After nearly 4 months in the Calm Belt, Miyamoto's goal is to go straight to the Sabaody archipelago. In other places, Miyamoto didn't care too much. Even the Sky Island in the sky, Miyamoto didn't care. Thunderfruit is indeed powerful, but Miyamoto has little idea about Thunderfruit, but Miyamoto has the idea of copying Shockfruit. Near Sabaody archipelago, it is much bigger than the sacred tree. On the medium-sized sailboat pulled by controlled sea kings, the three Temari said with emotion. An island formed by a big tree is indeed a spectacle. Shaking his head, after taking a look, Miyamoto spoke directly. "Let's go. Sabaody archipelago, it's not as good as expected." After Miyamoto said something, the sea kings at the bow roared and headed towards the port. To get to the Fishman Island, we need coding, so we go to number 56. Coding is not only Rayleigh can code, but also other people can do it, but Rayleigh's method is a little better. For Miyamoto, these are all indifferent. The big deal is that when the time comes, it is completely possible to prop up the repulsive force. After docking the ship and releasing the Sea Kings under control, Miyamoto and his team handed over the ship to a shipyard. After handing over the ship to the coding craftsman of the shipyard, Miyamoto and his party started to stroll around the Sabaody archipelago. For the 4 of Miyamoto, this place is indeed a strange place. But even for shopping, Miyamoto still didn't relax too much. He took the 3 of Hinata and headed towards the 13th area while playing. After half a day, the 4 of Miyamoto entered Area 13, which is a well-known lawless area. When we came to a bar, Miyamoto's eyes flickered slightly, and he looked at the signboard. Found it. The bar in Boa Hancock's memory. A bar in a lawless area. One Shaki's rip-off bar. As a big pirate 40 years ago, Shaki's news can be said to be quite well informed. Miyamoto doesn't care about Shaki's identity. What Miyamoto cares about is whether Shaki can get news about pure gold, or life-giving devil fruit. As far as Miyamoto knows, the only devil fruits that can increase a person's lifespan are the one that sucks blood, and the soul fruit of Big Mom. Op fruit does not count. Op fruit directly grants immortality. Go in and take a look. After saying this, Miyamoto pushed open the door and walked in. After the 3 of Hinata looked a little serious, they walked in directly. Miyamoto came to this bar on purpose, which proved that there should be something very important. 0.09 times out of 10, it's about eternal life. The 3 of them are naturally serious, playing is playing, and they have not forgotten their original purpose. "Welcome, what do you want?" Walking up the stairs, the 4 of Miyamoto just walked in when they saw a woman with black short hair, a mid-mature woman, still charming, leaning on the bar, with a cigarette in her mouth, and looked up at the 4 of Miyamoto. Shaki, a pirate from 40 years ago. After looking at Miyamoto, and then at the 3 Hinata behind Miyamoto, Shaki withdrew his gaze, put down the cigarette in his hand, and looked slightly dignified. 4 strong. The young man in the front has the most restrained aura, but just by feeling it, Shaki can feel an unfathomable coercion like the sea. And the 3 women behind, although far inferior to this young man, but judging by the fluctuating aura, they are at least general officers of the naval headquarters, pirates with hundreds of millions of rewards in New World. Especially the woman who looks young but doesn't exude mature charm all the time. It is conservatively estimated that her combat power is a Master of Naval Headquarters Vice Admiral. These 4 people, adding it up, I'm afraid it's not the combat power of the 4 Emperors level. Looking at Shaki, Miyamoto's face is indifferent. "Can you make drinks?" While talking, they found a place to sit down. After the 3 of Temari looked around for a while, they sat beside Miyamoto. Eyes on Shaki, the pressure ensues. P.S. This is Chapter 140, thank you for your support. Chapter 141 Encountering Chlorella Head 2/5 Chapter 141. I can adjust it, but it's only 300,000 Baileys, do you want a drink? A graceful smile appeared on Shaki's face, and at the same time lit a cigarette again, looked at Miyamoto, and asked. Miyamoto didn't respond when he heard 300,000 glasses of wine, but the faces of the three of Temari were stunned. But seeing Miyamoto's calm look, the three of them didn't speak, but they looked at Shaki with somewhat unfriendly eyes. When I first came here, I didn't have a concept of Bailey's value, but now that I have it, the price of this glass of wine is already sky high. You must know that their property combined, he only looks like tens of millions. Seeing the eyes of the three of Hinata, Shaki didn't react at all, and looked at Miyamoto with a half smile. Guests, the wine you want to drink is quite special. And your captain should know the rules here. Hearing what 073 said to Shaki, the three of Hinata frowned slightly and looked at Miyamoto. 1-inch Miyamoto nodded and said, ask for some news from you. Getting to the point, Shaki took a puff of cigarette, then nodded with a flat face. It's okay. 1 intelligence, 1 million Baileys. This time, Shaki didn't shirk. Facing a strong man like Miyamoto, it's useless to pretend to be stupid. As soon as Miyamoto came here, he had an expression of knowing everything, so he might as well buy a favor honestly. That's how Shaki's intelligence network was built. First question, Miyamoto nodded, and asked directly. Pure gold, you know that? Where is there a trace of pure gold, or is there such a clue? She paused. Shaki naturally knew about pure gold, but it was a legendary treasure, and she really didn't know where there was pure gold. Shaking his head and flicking the ash, Shaki said. Unfortunately, I don't know the whereabouts of this kind of thing. But give me a little time, and I should be able to find some information, but the price of such information is relatively expensive. Nodding his head, Miyamoto didn't care at all. Then I will come again in a while, money is not an issue. After Miyamoto said something, his eyes turned, and the second question. Devil Fruit Illustrated Book, you should have it, give me a copy. Hearing Miyamoto's words, Shaki had a helpless smile on his face. You really know the situation here quite well. There are Devil Fruit Illustrated books, but they are not complete. Do you want more? There are some special fruits that are hidden. The complete devil fruit can only be found in the hands of celestial dragons. Nodding, Miyamoto looked at Shaki and said, while talking, Miyamoto took out 2 million Baileys and gave them to Shaki, Miyamoto said. The news of pure gold, no matter what the price is, I want it. If you can help me get specific information about pure gold or find. Miyamoto leaned over to Shaki's ear, said a few words, then stepped back and said. I can promise you one thing within my power, even if I destroy naval headquarters, there will be no problem. With serious eyes, Shaki looked at Miyamoto. Destroying the naval headquarters? Such a value. Too big. If I get both messages for you, will you help me destroy the world government? Hearing this, Miyamoto was stunned for a smile, and then a smile appeared on his face, and he said in a false and true way. Maybe. Seeing Miyamoto and others leaving, Shaki's face became serious. Destroy naval headquarters. Shaki knew that what Miyamoto said was not a joke. If he could really get accurate information and put forward such a condition, Shaki believed that Miyamoto would really do it. Interesting pirates. After finishing speaking, Shaki withdrew his gaze, turned and walked to the back, to prepare. The favor of the strong is definitely a big profit. After leaving Shaki's bar, the purpose of the four of Miyamoto has basically been achieved. For the time being, there is nothing else to do. However, the coding takes several days, because of the craftsman's craftsmanship, at least 3 days to start. So for the next time, Miyamoto brought the three of Hinata to enjoy the style of the world. Sabaody Archipelago is also known as Soap Island, and bubble culture permeates every place in Sabaody Archipelago. Bubble cars, bubble Ferris wheels, bubble storage bags, bubble masks, building in bubble houses, etc. For the three of Hinata who came from Hokage, which is poor in entertainment facilities, they're almost crazy. This day, Miyamoto finally recalled the fear of being dominated by shopping. Even though he is a powerful man, he still feels tired. In this situation, the next day, it arrived quickly. When the four of Miyamoto were playing, they met a lost man with 3 knives and a green algae head. Miyamoto-kun, do you know him? Feeling Miyamoto's gaze, Hinata, who was walking on the street, asked with some doubts. Nodding, Miyamoto said, that should be Roronoa Zoro, one of the 3 giants of the Straw Hat Pirates. Hearing the name Straw Hat Pirates, the 3 of them froze for a moment, then looked away. With a funny look on Temari's face, he said, speaking of which, our Miyamoto pirates don't have the slightest reputation yet. When they first came here, the 3 of them established the Miyamoto pirates enthusiastically. Because the whole family is named Miyamoto, Miyamoto Red, Miyamoto Hinata, Miyamoto Temari, plus a head of the family, Miyamoto Musashi. People whose surname is not Miyamoto are not allowed to board the boat, which probably means this. Hearing Temari's words, both Hinata and Hong smiled slightly and said, after all, we are not causing trouble, we are not famous, and Marine is not an idiot, what do we do for no reason? Listening to the words of the 3 women, Miyamoto frowned and said, maybe some interesting things will happen today in 3.9, do you want to take a look? Maybe I can show you how powerful the world's top combat power is. After speaking, Miyamoto looked at the 3 Hinata beside him. Hearing what Miyamoto said, the 3 of Temari nodded. Go. The world's top combat power, the level of Marine Admiral, although I have been hearing about it since I came here, but I have witnessed it with my own eyes, and I generally have a bottom in my heart. During this period of time, sailing at sea has not encountered pirates, but those pirates are too weak. It is not enough to reflect the level of combat power in this world, and the three of Hinata are eager to see it. Under the leadership of Miyamoto, the four walked towards human trafficking area number 1. P.S. This is chapter 141, thank you for your support, thank you very much. Chapter 142 I'm not very good at fighting 3/5 chapter 142. Area number 1, Population Auction House. When Miyamoto and his group came here, it was a bit late, because they were not in a hurry on the road, and stopped. When they came to the auction house, a new auction was in progress. The four of Miyamoto walked into the auction quietly without attracting anyone's attention. That's the Celestial Dragons. As soon as he walked into the auction house, he saw at a glance, sitting on the first-class seat in the front, the Dragon Kai who was protected by a kind of guard with a transparent glass cover. Tamari, who was more curious, asked Miyamoto, pointing to the Celestial Dragons. Glancing at the two Celestial Dragons being protected, Miyamoto nodded. That's a bunch of brainless Celestial Dragons who claim to be descendants of the Creator. If the pirates in this world are vicious but true, then this group of Celestial Dragons are simply idiots. Smiling and commenting, Miyamoto's voice was not lowered at all, and the people around the four could clearly hear it. All of them showed horrified eyes, looking at Miyamoto, wanting to see clearly who Miyamoto is, who dared to say such words. This is a serious crime of beheading. 17 kind-hearted Hinata blinked and asked. Then why, the Marine and the world government, protect these Celestial Dragons? The three women from the world of Hokage really don't understand that the so-called world noble Celestial Dragons in this world have such power. It can be clearly known from the perception that these two Celestial Dragons do not have any strength at all. They are worse than ordinary people, why should they protect them? Since the descendants of the Creator can be called the Creator, then the strength is definitely strong, at least there should be a world-class powerhouse. It's ironic that the offspring of such a master don't have any strength. Rubbing Hinata's little head, Miyamoto said, because this world is unreasonable. Marine, very decadent. Hearing Miyamoto's words, Hinata's face showed a clear color, looking at the Celestial Dragons in front, his eyes flickered. This world is completely different from Hokage's political system. Aristocratic supremacy. However, the three Hinatas from another world didn't feel any fear of these so-called world nobles. Even because Miyamoto described the childhood experience of the Empress Boa Hancock, although she is an enemy, as a woman, she also has some feelings. All in all, for Celestial Dragons, the three of Hinata have no good impressions. Among them, Hinata's dislike is probably the most important. Look carefully, the auction is about to start. Miyamoto's eyes had already noticed that the Straw Hat crew, as well as several other supernovas, were here. But they were not in a hurry, nor did they do anything. This time, I came here just to watch the show, and casually let the three of Hinata see the world's top combat power, Marine Admiral's actual combat. The battle between Rayleigh and Kizaru definitely has a great effect on the three of Hinata who have just come into contact with the pirates' fighting style, and it is precisely because of this that Miyamoto will come. In the following time, the auction started, and the three of Hinata, who auctioned off human beings as objects for the first time, felt somewhat uncomfortable in their hearts. Although ninjas kill people, things like human trafficking rarely happen in the Hokage world. Guests, the next step is the highlight of this time. The auctioneer on the stage had an evil smile on his face, looking at everyone present. This is an unscheduled auction item, a very rare mermaid. Just as the auctioneer's words fell, there were attendants, and a transparent fish tank was pushed out from the backstage. Inside, a cute mermaid was looking at the people in the auction house in panic. Miyamoto's brows trembled slightly, and he secretly said in his heart what a coincidence. This mermaid is none other than the Straw Hat crew's target. Mermaid Kami. Seeing the pitiful look of this mermaid, completely different from the numb expression of the previous auctioneer, Hinata next to Miyamoto reached out and held Miyamoto's hand. Tight Miyamoto turned his head and looked at Hinata's expressionless face, clearly feeling Hinata's anger. As a ninja, Hinata can directly kill the mermaid without any discomfort. However, as a person watching from below, Hinata is more or less uncomfortable. In contrast, Hong and Tamari are much better. Seeing Hinata like this, Miyamoto smiled inwardly. So this is Hinata, the Hinata who, despite the changes, still engraves kindness in his bones. That's her charm, isn't it? With a slight smile, Miyamoto took the initiative to pat Hinata's hand. Do whatever you want, I'm here for everything. With a flash in his eyes, Hinata stood up resolutely and walked towards the auction Kami. Seeing this scene, Hong and Tamari tensed slightly. Miyamoto didn't care, just looked at the Straw Hat crew, and Luffy had already started to feel agitated, but because the Celestial Dragons were there, he didn't act rashly. Hinata's actions are undoubtedly eye-catching, especially Hinata's goal is to go directly towards Kami. Everyone's eyes fell on the girl with a good figure, a clear face, and weird eyes. The auction host on the stage, seeing Hinata's appearance, couldn't help but brighten his eyes. White eyes? Such a figure. A rarity. although the slightly coiled hair proves that this is a personal 670 wife, but it should be able to sell for a good price. Some nobles like this one. Thinking of this, a smile appeared on the host's face. Looking at Hinata, Taguchi asked. Madam, may I help you? Looking up at the host, Hinata could clearly feel the host's malicious intentions. Frowning slightly, Hinata said, slightly distressed. I'm not very good at fighting, can you please stand still obediently? Hearing Hinata's words, the host looked slightly puzzled, looking at Hinata. Huh? What do you mean by madam? It's just that Hinata didn't answer the host's words, her gaze was fixed, and a burst of momentum burst out. Gentle fist method hyphenation point crash palm. Without rolling his eyes, armament hockey was wrapped around his hands, and Hinata, who was still in the audience, came to the host in an instant. Boom. A palm hit the host's heart heavily, and the domineering and terrifying power directly blasted the host away. Boom. Knocked down the wall behind, the body fell into it directly, the 7 orifices bleed, and I couldn't die anymore. This sudden change caused the entire auction house to fall into a deathly silence. P.S. This is Chapter 142, thank you for your support, thank you very much. Chapter 143 How can you not fight celestial dragons? 4/5. Chapter 143 After finishing all this, Hinata turned to look at Kami in the fish tank, with a gentle smile on her face. You are free, I will let you out right now, it's all right, no one can hurt you. As Hinata said that, when he was about to save Kami. Boom. There was a gunshot and a bullet shot towards Hinata. His complexion changed slightly, Hinata's observation hockey directly captured the trajectory of this bullet. Swish. Turning his body slightly, he dodged the bullet directly, and looked at the 2 celestial dragons on the other side in a blink of an eye. Untouchable, how dare you avoid the attack of my St. Charlos, come and arrest her for me. Suddenly, the male celestial dragon sitting in the front suddenly spoke, and directly directed his subordinates to do it, with a disgusting expression on his face. Her eyes are valuable for collection, I want to dig them out and collect them. Hearing this, even though he had expected it in his heart, Hinata frowned at the domineering celestial dragons. Turning his head, he looked at the speaking celestial dragons with a flat face. I advise you not to move around, I don't like killing people very much. Looking at the celestial dragons who claimed to be St. Charles, Hinata's face was very ugly, and he was already ready to kill. St. Charles Rose showed dissatisfaction on his face, glanced at his guards, and said directly. Why don't you do it? Just grab this woman and don't damage her eyes. As soon as St. Charles Rose's voice fell, the guards around him rushed out one by one and rushed towards Hinata. Their faces were numb. It was obvious that they had done this kind of thing many times. Sitting behind watching, Miyamoto did not move, his eyes flickered slightly, and he did not move. Swish swish the figures of Temari and Hong disappeared in an instant, Hong's figure rushed towards Hinata. And Temari's figure indeed rushed directly towards Charo's saint and another celestial dragons beside him, Charulia Palace. The two had just moved, and Miyamoto's eyes turned to the Straw Hat crew on the other side. While the guards of celestial dragons were doing it, Luffy took the lead, and Straw Hat crew also did it, clamoring that it was for friends or something. Although he is an idiot, he is a good man, Miyamoto withdrew his gaze, and looked at Hinata on the stage in a blink of an eye. The Straw Hat crew's action was undoubtedly because Hinata wanted to save Kami from danger, and he acted out of righteousness. So Miyamoto said, he's not bad, it's just that if it's strength, it's not enough at all. Swish Hong's figure appeared next to Hinata in an instant, and the two faced back to back, facing the celestial dragons guards who were besieging them. Hinata. Hearing Hong's words, Hinata looked serious. Yes. Roll eyes. The white eyes opened instantly, and Hinata put on a posture. Gentle fist law 8 trigrams 128 palms. A huge array of 8 trigrams emerged, directly engulfing those who attacked her. The middle-level armed color wraps both arms, and Hinata steps out with one step. Bang bang bang. A series of blows sounded, and Hinata's body was like a butterfly, dancing among the enemies. The improved 128 palms not only greatly increased its power, but also made it more beautiful. After hitting 128 palms, Hinata returned to the original place, with a terrifying force in both hands. 8 trigrams hyphenation point empty wall palm. Bang. A huge palm force bombarded this group of people, directly sending them flying. Boom. It smashed hard on the chairs in the auction house. None of these guards could stand up, and they lay motionless on the ground without making a sound. Nodding, Miyamoto looked at Hinata with satisfaction in his eyes. Although he is kind, his strikes are still fierce and will not show mercy. This is enough. Hinata's colleague, Hong also started. Compared with the shock brought by Hinata's gentle fist method, the sound of Hong's hands was much quieter. But when everyone reacted, when they looked at Hong, Hong had already killed all the guards, without exception, all of them sealed their throats with one knife. So strong. They're so strong. Among the Straw Hat crew, Zoro, the green algae head, just pulled out the knife, and the battle was over. He looked at Hinata and Hong on the stage with a confused face, and opened his mouth, not knowing what to say. Not only Zoro, everyone else has the same expression, and the only one who is still calm is Luffy. The strength of Hinata and Hong undoubtedly shocked the others. Just when everyone was in a daze, Dao's exasperated voice sounded. Waste. It's all a bunch of waste. Seeing that his subordinates were almost killed in an instant, St. Charles couldn't help being angry and yelling. A bunch of trash, they can't even win against 2 women, even if they die. While speaking, St. Charles Rose looked at some people in the auction house who were watching the fun and did not leave the pirate group, and ordered. Catch these 2 women for me, and I will reward you as my guards. Hearing this, all the pirates in the auction house couldn't help but change their expressions. Order of the Celestial Dragons, when everyone's faces are ugly. Puff puff. The head of the guard who stayed beside St. Charles Rose flew directly into the air, and at the same time as the blood splattered, his body fell limply. 2 kunai pierced into the glass covers of the 2 celestial dragons. Tamari stood behind them with a cold face and killing intent in his eyes. Who do you want to catch? The voice was full of coldness. St. Charles Rose and another female celestial dragons, his sister, Charulia Palace, turned their heads in disbelief and looked at Tamari. The 2 of them just wanted to talk. Whoosh, the 3-star fan, Dehao Jiao, was like an iron rod, and without giving them a chance to speak, it directly smashed on the glass covers of Charo's Street and Chalulia Palace. On the face of the person, the huge force directly knocked the 2 of them into the air and smashed them onto the stage. His face was bloody, he was motionless, and he was still breathing a little. There was silence. If the battle between Hinata and Hong shocked everyone just now, then what Tamari did at this moment made the scalps of the people present tingle, and a chill shot straight from the soles of the feet to the sky. Celestial dragons. Got hit? The surrounding pirates all showed horrified faces, and looked at the 2 celestial dragons lying on the stage without any movement. Run. Marine Admiral coming soon. The celestial dragons are beaten. P.S. This is Chapter 143, thank you for your support, thank you very much. Chapter 144. With a snap of the fingers, the head falls to the ground, 5/5. Chapter 144. Everyone run. The pirates who had just watched the show fearlessly, scattered at this moment, not daring to stay here at all. Tamari glanced at the pirates who fled here, frowned, looked at these pirates, turned around for a moment, and came directly to the stage, glanced at the 2 celestial dragons, and smiled disdainfully. Just such scum, can you be called a descendant of the creator? This world is nothing more than that. After saying this, Temari's eyes fell on Luffy and the others who hadn't left yet, and there was some surprise. Following Temari's gaze, the Straw Hat crew was a little nervous, looking at Tamari. Anyone with a discerning eye can see that the 3 of Hinata are partners together, and they all have not weak strength. Straw Hat crew was really worried that the 3 of Hinata would attack them. If they did, they might not be opponents. I remember, the navigator among the Straw Hat crew, Nami said suddenly, looking at Hinata District 3. They are the 3 who wiped out the buggy pirates, one of the 3 East Blue pirates. Nami opened his mouth with nervousness on his face. Those who resisted the buggy pirates were all killed. If Hinata hadn't seen her young, surrendered and let her go, she might have died long ago. She did it in a split second just now, but she didn't remember it for a while. Hearing Nami's words, Straw Hat crew didn't feel anything. After all, they are much stronger than the buggy pirates. Usopp's 513 looked pale, looked at the others in Straw Hat crew, and said, compared to this, we should go sooner or later. They're fighting celestial dragons, and Marine Admiral is coming soon. Usopp's reminder made the Straw Hat crew come to their senses, with anxious expressions on their faces. However, at this time, Luffy suddenly came to the stage and looked at the 3 of Hinata. Do you want to be my partner? I'm the man who wants to be the Pirate King? Touching his head, he looked at the 3 of Hinata with clear eyes and sincerely invited them. Not only the Straw Hat crew was stunned, but the others were also stunned, and the 3 of them blinked and blinked. What's the situation? Is this boy out of his mind? They're not going to be your buddies, Straw Hat Luffy. At this moment, Miyamoto, who had already changed into a large red armor, walked over with a sword behind his back, and took a look at Straw Hat crew. Captain Luffy, Swordsman Zoro, Chef Sanji, Dr. Chopper, Navigator Nami, Devil Son Robin, Sniper Usopp, Transformer Frankie, Skeleton Brook. Everyone was almost there. Seeing this, Miyamoto's eyes fell on Brook, BHBI. A person with the ability of Wangchen Fruit. Speaking of which, Wangchen Fruit can be regarded as an alternative kind of longevity, but Miyamoto doesn't like this kind of longevity. Looking away, Miyamoto passed the Straw Hat crew and came to Hinata, smiling slightly. Well done. But get ready, next, we will become the top pirates on the sea who offer rewards. After saying these words, Miyamoto hooked his fingers, took the unconscious Charo's Saint and his sister Charulia Palace who were lying on the ground, turned around and walked towards the door. At the same time, he looked towards the auction house as if pointing something. In observation hockey, I have already sensed that many Marines have arrived outside. Completely ignoring all the people present, Miyamoto's body at this moment exuded a sense of calmness. When Hinata passed the Straw Hat Luffy, he glanced at Kami who was still in the fish tank. Is she your partner? Save him and get out of the back, it's going to be dangerous here. After speaking, Hinata followed Miyamoto's pace, and the 4 of them walked towards the main entrance of the auction house. Luffy. Get out now. After the four of Hinata left, the other members of the Straw Hat crew spoke. Pressing the hat, Luffy showed a smile on his face and said, "Well, let's go." The current Straw Hat pirates are still too weak. Although Luffy is weak, he values love and righteousness, and cannot put his crew in a smile. This is the most basic duty of a captain. Outside the auction house, marine soldiers lined up and looked at the exit of the auction house with serious faces. Da da da. The sound of footsteps came, and the faces of each marine soldier were faintly covered with cold sweat. The celestial dragons were beaten. This was a terrible incident. It was a good thing that the criminal was caught today. If he was not caught, the whole family would be killed. It's not just the soldiers who know it, the Marine Rear Admiral who led the team this time also knows it well. So, after hearing footsteps, the Marine Rear Admiral ordered without any hesitation. Everyone, attack. After hearing this, all Marine soldiers just pulled the trigger. Bang bang bang, bang bang. The sound of muskets firing rang out, and bullets shot at the exit of the auction house. Not only that, even the cannons fired directly. Such an attack, for ordinary pirates, can be called a gorgeous attack. But, universal pull. An indifferent voice sounded, and then a burst of gravitational force erupted. These attacking bullets and shells all flew in one direction, after reaching a certain distance. Shenluo Tianzheng. Boom. Under the blessing of repulsion, the bullets and shells flew back directly to the marine camp. Boom. 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 Ah, ah, ah. The sound of artillery fire was accompanied by the painful screams of the marine soldiers. After the explosion, there were not many marine soldiers who could stand. And at this time, Miyamoto, who did all this, brought the three of Hinata, plus the figures of two celestial dragons, and appeared in front of the marine soldiers. Yo. The battle is quite big, Miyamoto sneered, looked at Marine Rear Admiral holding a knife in his hand, and said, "Meet you for the first time, I am the captain of the Miyamoto pirates, Miyamoto Musashi." This time the presence of the celestial dragons. No, that's not right. Halfway through, a smile appeared on Miyamoto's face, and with a movement of his fingers, the bodies of Saint Charos and Charulia Palace fell in front of Miyamoto. Marine Rear Admiral's face changed, looking at the two miserable celestial dragons, the corners of his mouth twitched crazily. It was a terrible fight, and looking at it like this, it should be trying to threaten him. Looking at Miyamoto with an ugly face, Marine Rear Admiral said, "Tell me, what request do you have? As long as you release these two adults, I will agree." Upon hearing this, Miyamoto paused slightly. "You misunderstood me." Looking at Marine Rear Admiral, Yuan said, "I don't have any requirements, I just want to do something in front of you." While speaking, Miyamoto lifted his fingers, and the bodies of St. Charles Rose and Charulia Palace hung in the air. Looking at Marine Rear Admiral, Miyamoto said, "Come put a bounty on us, Marine. This is a gift to announce our arrival to the world." While speaking, Miyamoto raised his finger, snapped. With a snap of the fingers, the head falls to the ground. P.S. This is Chapter 144, thank you for your support. Chapter 145 Headquarters Vice Admiral Level 1/5 Chapter 145. Died. The head fell to the ground, the dead can't die anymore. The moment Miyamoto started, Marine Rear Admiral's face immediately lost any color, looking at Miyamoto. "You killed celestial dragons?" It seemed unbelievable, Marine Rear Admiral asked in a whisper. Nodding for granted, the corpses of the two celestial dragons stepped on them directly, and Miyamoto looked at Marine Rear Admiral with a flat face. "Well, kill." A black shadow flashed by, and Marine Rear Admiral came directly in front of Miyamoto, raised his knife, and chopped it down. "Damn pirate. Your sin, even if you kill you, it can't be washed away. Catch it without a fight." Pirates. Facing this fierce attack, Miyamoto's eyes didn't waver, just watching like this. Chance. There was a hint of joy on Marine Rear Admiral's face, and the knife in his hand became even sharper. At the moment when the knife was about to be cut, Miyamoto showed a strange smile on his face, looking at the Marine Rear Admiral as if looking at a clown. Swish. Clang. The body flicker technique was launched. Temari looked calm, and directly blocked Marine Rear Admiral's attack. "Too slow, if this is all your strength, then you were finished." The huge force directly forced the Marine Rear Admiral back. Temari pulled the 3-star fan, and the moment it opened. Armed windblade. Buzz. A sharp and invisible windblade formed, armament hockey blessed the 3-star fan, and Temari came to Marine Rear Admiral in an instant. "It's over." Puff. With staggered figures, Temari had a sneer on his face, looking at the marine soldiers present. Roll. Accompanied by Temari's words, the Marine Rear Admiral behind him spewed blood from his neck, and his body knelt on the ground. He bowed his head and died. Seeing this scene, the marine soldiers were heartbroken. Looking at Temari, they trembled all over. Although no one really ran away, no one dared to go up. Miyamoto, who was watching from behind, his eyes flickered slightly, and he looked at Temari in a weird way. The qualifications of the king? No way? Looking at Temari's current state, does he really have a bit of a king's qualifications? That is, Temari may be one of the million people who owns hockey. This is a bit awesome, but for the time being, it's better to look at it. What are you doing? At this moment, a cold voice sounded, and a middle-aged man wearing a marine justice cloak came out from behind the marine soldier. Where is the prisoner? His eyes froze for a moment. Miyamoto looked at this person. He was much stronger than the previous rear admiral. He should be a vice admiral, but he was still a naval headquarters vice admiral by visual inspection. Red, this is the middle force of marine, the vice admiral. After Miyamoto said something, Hong nodded slightly, walked to Temari's side, and looked directly at Marine Vice Admiral. Marine Vice Admiral learned from the surviving soldiers on the side that after Miyamoto killed the celestial dragons, his eyes were gloomy. You're doomed to kill the celestial dragons. Shoot to kill, let me do it. Flicking the cloak of justice on his body, this unknown naval headquarters vice admiral directly struck. One of the Marine 6 styles shaving, a method of high-speed movement, quite practical, and the body flicker technique has the same effect. Using the shaved naval headquarters vice admiral, he came to Hong's body almost instantly, and blasted Temari with a wild and domineering punch. Successful. Looking at Temari who didn't react at all, naval headquarters vice admiral's eyes were serious, and he was about to hit Temari. Boom! After hitting Temari's body, a burst of white smoke burst out, and a small piece of wood flew out. And Temari's figure appeared behind him. The 3-star fan in his hand opened. Armament Haki, the most powerful of the 3, covered both hands in the 3-star fan. Armed Gale Cut. Compared with the wind shear used to attack Miyamoto before, the invisible wind blade has a much larger range, and it spreads out in a fan shape, which is extremely fierce. Puff puff. With the sound of flesh and blood being separated, more than half of the heads of the marine soldiers charging towards Temari with sharp knives flew up into the sky. Temari, who had eliminated half of the marine soldiers with one move, held a 3-star fan, moved his body, ignored the attack from behind, and rushed directly into the remaining marine soldiers. When a tiger joins a herd of sheep, 10 moves and 1 move will inevitably take away the lives of 10 people. Temari is not the kind of person who will be merciful. She has a very clear purpose and will not show any mercy at all. Seeing the naval headquarters vice admiral who was killing crazily by Temari, his eyes were full of anger and he was about to rush out. Ask for flowers, zero the cold, shining kunai rested silently on his neck, and a red and indifferent voice sounded. Your opponent is me. As the voice fell, the kunai in the red hand thrust towards naval headquarters vice admiral's neck without hesitation, intending to kill him with one blow. Ding! The sound of metal and iron clanging resounded. His red face remained unchanged, his willow eyebrows pouted slightly. Armament Haki? Hearing Hong's words, naval headquarters vice admiral stared. You know Haki, you guys are from New World? While speaking, he turned around abruptly, his fingers piercing towards the red belly. 6 styles finger pistol. Armament Haki's fingers covered in pitch black, the lethality is absolutely terrifying, this blow is powerful and powerful. .0 His face remained unchanged, his red figure leapt high, and while avoiding vice admiral's attack, the kunai in his hand pierced towards the center of his eyebrows. 6 styles iron body, armed, directly applied the defensive skill iron body, another one of the 6 styles, and blocked the eyebrows with pitch black hands. Ding! After the chirping of gold and iron, kunai was directly grabbed by vice admiral, and at the same time, the other hand was grabbed towards Hong's arm. Without any hesitation, Hong directly gave up grabbing kunai's hand. After landing on the ground, she instantly retreated a certain distance, and looked at vice admiral with a sneer. Ninja weapons, it's best not to mess with them. The voice fell. On the kunai handle held by vice admiral, a detonating symbol lit up, and the next moment. Boom! Exploding directly, the shockwave made vice admiral's body fly out and hit the ground. Cough cough cough. Coughing a few times, vice admiral propped up his body, his face was icy cold, he glanced at his right hand that was bloody from the explosion, and looked solemnly at the second red. Strong. This is definitely a strong man comparable to him. If he doesn't take it seriously, he will probably explain it here. Seeing that the opponent is serious, his face is still red, and he looks at vice admiral. Next, it's time to deal with you. While speaking, a kunai appeared again in Hong's hand, armament Haki covered it, and observation Haki emitted. The fighting power is fully on. P.S. This is chapter 145, thank you for your support. The picture shows the black dragon flag, the flag of the pirate group. Chapter 146 Kizaru 2/5 Chapter 146 A solemn look flashed across vice admiral's face. He looked at Hong, looking for Hong's flaws, and did not act in a hurry. His task is to hold back these daring pirates who dare to attack the nobles of the world. Admiral will come later, and these 4 people will definitely not be able to escape. Hong understood vice admiral's intention almost instantly, with a sneer on his face. You want to stall for time, don't you? Pity. You don't have the strength. As soon as the voice fell, Hong's figure disappeared instantly without a trace. Seeing the red disappear, vice admiral's face changed, and while he was vigilant around, observation Haki emitted. Later, observation Haki caught red's attack in an instant, and vice admiral looked back at Shirahoshi. 6 styles finger pistol. Watching vice admiral's attack, a sneer appeared on Hong's face. 437. Covered armament Haki's kunai cut out. Ding! With a splash of flames, Hong's body spun in the air, swept his legs, and kicked Vice Admiral's head. The sharp kicks clearly indicate that this attack is hard to catch every day. Faced with such a compact and sharp attack from Hong, Vice Admiral, who had already injured one hand and had no time to defend, chose to retreat. Just made an action, the red sweeping in the air, the action changed again, the attack covered by the sweep. The slender legs were like steel bars, and they kicked Vice Admiral in the heart. Boom! Vice Admiral, who was hit in the middle of the move, was kicked away in an instant. After landing on the ground and gliding for a certain distance, he stood up and looked at Hong. But seeing a seal on Hong's hand, she looked at him with a sneer. It's over. The moment a familiar voice sounded, Vice Admiral's face changed, and he looked at the dense detonating symbols under the surrounding weeds. Rumble. In the blast wave of the detonating talisman, Vice Admiral's body was blown away and fell in front of Hong. Seriously wounded and dying, even though he's wrapped himself in armor colors, plus Marine 6 style's iron body buff, Red has used a fair amount of detonators. Looking up at Hong, Vice Admiral's gaze was full of murderous intent. Mean. With a smile, Hong said faintly, "I'm a ninja." While speaking, the kunai in his hand flashed a cold light towards Vice Admiral's neck. And at this moment, a golden flash shot from the sky, aiming directly at the red of Vice Admiral who was about to bear fruit. The speed was unimaginable, far exceeding the speed of shaving and body flicker technique. Prickly. With a flash of thunder, Miyamoto's figure appeared in front of Hong in an instant, covering armament hockey with his right hand and lifting it up. Bang! The dull sound of fists and feet intersecting sounded. Sulphone. The terrifying strong wind blew everything around, flying sand and rocks. Many Marine soldiers were directly blown out, and the surrounding trees were even more rickety. Hong stood up, looked solemnly at the middle-aged man in front of Miyamoto, wearing a yellow suit and a cloak of justice, with a lazy expression on his face. Is this the Marine Admiral? Hong felt the attack just now, but she didn't have time to react at all. It was too fast, and she felt a sense of suffocation at that moment. Admiral, sure enough, very strong. Miyamoto nodded calmly, and glanced at Marine Admiral who was looking at himself. Kizaru, one of the Marine 3 admirals, one of the top combat powers. Hong, step back, he is not something you can deal with. After nodding, Hong returned directly to Hinata's side, and Tamari also came back. The three women stood together with dignified eyes, looking at Miyamoto and Kizaru who were still wrestling in the same posture as before. Turning his eyes slightly, he glanced at the two celestial dragons whose bodies and heads had been separated. His pupils constricted a bit, but his face still had a wretched look. He turned to look at Miyamoto. Very scary. Young people nowadays, are they so capable? They even dare to kill celestial dragons? It's really scary. Hearing Kizaru's words, Miyamoto grinned, and there was a slight killing intent in his eyes, looking at Kizaru. Hey, what will happen to Marine if I kill you here? The smile on his face froze slightly, and the yellow monkey looked at Ben. That would hurt. Prickly, lightning flashed, and Miyamoto's figure jumped over Kizaru's kick in an instant, and appeared directly in front of Kizaru, covering armament hockey, and the fist that surpassed the limit speed stimulated by lightning-style chakra slammed into Kizaru's face head-on. Boom! As if a cannonball was fired, the ground under Miyamoto's feet shattered like a spiderweb, and Kizaru's body was blasted away like a cannonball. Crack. Boom. After smashing the trunk of a giant tree, Kizaru's body fell to the ground, and after making a big hole on the ground, the body turned into light particles and recondensed. It's troublesome. With solemn eyes, he looked at Miyamoto who had appeared not far in front of him. The relaxed and lazy face gradually disappeared, and the smile gradually became dignified. A spaceman who ate a space fruit. It seems that if you don't show some real skills, it will be very difficult to complete the task. What a hassle. Lifting his legs, Kizaru looked at Miyamoto with serious eyes and said, "Have you ever been kicked by the speed of light?" Before the words reached Miyamoto's ears, Kizaru's body turned into a ray of light and rushed towards Miyamoto as if teleported. Kizaru's speed was quite fast. Miyamoto's eyes opened to the eyes of Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan. A cold light flashed. Lei Shun's body was directly boosted, and his speed was no slower than Kizaru's. Prickly the two approached in an instant. Miyamoto's fist, covering the top armament hockey, punched Kizaru's flash kick. Armed power fist. Boom. Boom. The two sides that were hit head-on, the terrifying power poured down, and everything around them exploded as if they had suffered a fatal blow. The huge power of the strange power fist shocked Kizaru. The strength he gained through speed made him deflated for the first time when he was fighting against 5.0 enemies, and he involuntarily backed away physically and mentally. Just as he retreated, a golden sword slashed directly at Kizaru's body, and Miyamoto's figure was suspended in the air. Golden wheels explode. Facing this powerful golden sword, Kizaru's body turned into a flash of light and disappeared immediately. Jung. The golden wheel's life explosion directly hit the ground, and under the sword, it directly split the soil on the ground, and directly chopped off a huge tree root. Seeing such an attack, Kizaru, who fell on the side of the big tree, looked dignified. If such an attack is hit, it will be really bad. Arms up, Kizaru faces Miyamoto, 8-foot Chong Guyu. P.S. This is chapter 146, thank you for your support, thank you very much. Chapter 147 Rayleigh's Intercession 3/5 Chapter 147. 8-foot Chong Guyu. Kizaru's face showed seriousness. Looking at Miyamoto, his body turned into a flash of light and jumped into the air. Countless dazzling light bullets attacked Miyamoto indiscriminately. Facing such an attack, Miyamoto folded his hands, and the left eye of Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan flashed brightly. Pupil technique weakened. A huge burst of pupil power, aimed at Kizaru's 8-foot Chong Guyu, almost halfway through the attacks, was directly weakened into small sparks without any power. There was a sneer on Miyamoto's face. He looked at Kizaru, raised his leg, the power of his right eye burst out. Miyamoto said, "Have you ever been kicked by the speed of light? The huge golden light illuminates everything, and the entire area is illuminated by this golden light. Those who are still here can't open their eyes at all." Seeing this familiar light, Kizaru's old face is full of mistakes and disbelief. This is the old man's. Jung, the figure of Miyamoto, came to Kizaru in an instant, with a sneer on his face, and he kicked him out without giving Kizaru a chance to resist. 17 Boom. The huge force directly hit Kizaru, who was too late to be elementalized, and hit his body head-on. This terrifying force directly made Kizaru's body crash into the huge red tree trunk. Boom. The terrifying impact directly made the huge mangrove tree trunk overwhelmed, and slowly fell down while tearing apart. Seeing the huge attack effect he caused, Miyamoto frowned, watching this scene. 1,000 times the speed of light kick is quite powerful. Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan transformed into Rinne Sharingan. Miyamoto raised his hand, and looked at Kizaru, who was dazed like a dead dog in the trunk of the mangrove tree. Miyamoto raised his hand and precisely acted on Kizaru's body. Looking at Kizaru, who was brought to Miyamoto, who had come to his senses, he said in disbelief, "How do you know the ability of this old man? Who are you?" Smiling coldly, without answering, Miyamoto raised his hand. Tensagan's puppet control secret technique was activated, and pressed his hand on Kizaru's head. "Tell me everything you know." A huge memory, from childhood to today, without any omission, all fell into Miyamoto's eyes. Frowning, after checking Kizaru's memory, Miyamoto couldn't help but feel a little disappointed when he didn't get the answer he wanted. "If you don't have something I want to know, then you're useless. Die under your own power." Jung raising his hand, the ability of the sparkling fruit was activated, and a terrifying force gathered and aimed at Kizaru's head in front of him. Kizaru, whose memory was extracted by the puppet secret technique, was much stronger than the Empress, but he did not pass out, but he was still mentally depressed, unable to resist Miyamoto's attack at all. Whoosh! A big sword flew directly towards Miyamoto, covered with armament haki, which made Miyamoto frown slightly, raised his hand, and a repulsive force directly exhausted the sword. Shenluo Tianjung. The big sword went back the same way and shot at the person who made the attack, and stopped the attack to kill Kizaru. Miyamoto looked at the white-haired old man who was wearing beach shorts and avoided the big sword. Pluton Rayleigh. "Do you want to dance too?" Miyamoto's eyes flickered slightly, looking at Rayleigh. Pluton Rayleigh. Seeing Miyamoto revealing his identity in one word, Rayleigh was about to introduce himself, but the words stuck in his throat. Looking at Miyamoto in the sky, Rayleigh's face was solemn. The young man in front of him is simply an invincible existence, and he solved Marine Admiral Kizaru with 3 strikes, 5 divisions and 2. This strength is absolutely the best in the entire sea. Most importantly, this young man is really ruthless. He killed 2 celestial dragons first, and his companion killed a Marine Rear Admiral and a Marine Vice Admiral. Now it seems that this boy will also kill Kizaru. Marine general officers, from low to high, want to kill a transparent. If you kill him, then you may have to face a very troublesome reward, and Marine will never let you go easily. Rayleigh opened his mouth with a solemn expression on his face. Most of all, the balance of the sea is going to be lost. What goal do you want to achieve, right? The chaotic sea should not be of any benefit to what you are about to do. Hearing Rayleigh's words, Miyamoto was silent for a while. Shen Guang flickered slightly. It can be seen from the original book that Rayleigh and Shaki are definitely concubines. If he killed Rayleigh, I'm afraid Shaki would not help him find out the news. Thinking of this, Miyamoto turned his head to look at Kizaru, who had no energy to speak, with disdain in his eyes. "Okay, then I'll let him go." The gravity was removed, Kizaru's divine body fell to the ground, spat out a mouthful of blood, looked at Miyamoto in the air, his eyes stretched out, and there was a trace of deep fear. This is the first time he has experienced death directly in so many years. It was also the first time that he was crushed all the way, and the opponent still used the simplest attack method to complete the crushing of him in all directions. Strength, it's not one-dimensional at all. Close your eyes and stop talking. Even though he has regained some strength, he will never move until the killer leaves. You agreed so easily? Seeing that Miyamoto agreed so readily, Rayleigh was also taken aback for a moment, and asked, "I thought you were going to kill me. F***K. Rayleigh, old man, the butcher, and you ain't over." Kizaru, who was lying on the ground pretending to be dead, felt nervous when he heard Rayleigh's words, and couldn't help cursing inwardly. He could feel that Miyamoto's eyes fell on him again. Amid Kizaru's nervousness, Miyamoto sneered faintly. The gravel in District 277 is not half as good as mine. Do you care about the life and death of ants? After saying this, Miyamoto's body merged into the space and disappeared without a trace. Sensing found the three of Hinata, and Miyamoto came directly in front of the three of them, glanced at the fat man who had been beheaded to the end, and couldn't help being stunned. The captain of the Naval Headquarters Science Unit, Senmomaru. After just looking at it, Miyamoto looked away, not paying attention. Kizaru is going to kill him, and he doesn't care about a team. Are you all right? Glancing at the three of Hinata who didn't consume much, Miyamoto smiled on his face. It seems that the results of 4 months of training are quite good. Comprehensive strength, at least at the Naval Headquarters Rear Admiral level, pretty good. Faced with Miyamoto's praise, the three of Hinata smiled, and it was a happy thing to be recognized by their sweetheart. Red looked at Miyamoto and asked, "What about the Marine Admiral?" Although the time of Miyamoto's battle just now was short, the movement was very loud, and they all saw it. "Let go," Miyamoto said calmly. Just as a way of doing that, Shaki, his man, is there to plead. P.S. To be continued, this is chapter 147, thank you for your support. Chapter 148 Shirahoshi fell asleep. Exactly 4/5 chapter 148. A newspaper, coupled with the latest reward order, made the whole world boil. Latest news. Sabaody Archipelago, 2 celestial dragons killed by the previously unknown Miyamoto pirates. Then Naval Headquarters Rear Admiral Prague, as well as Vice Admiral Braish and a Marine officer were brutally killed in the process of arresting criminals, unfortunately died in the line of duty. Admiral of Headquarters Kizaru Paluzolino, Naval Headquarters Science Unit leader Zon Momomaru, and Science Unit soldiers joined the battle. After, Marine Admiral Kizaru was seriously injured, and all members of the science team, including the captain Zon Momomaru, were wiped out. All members of the Miyamoto pirates were not captured. The latest reward. The captain of the Miyamoto pirates, Miyamoto Musashi, wearing a large red armor, killed the murderer of the celestial dragons and seriously injured Marine Admiral. Extremely dangerous reward amount, 2 billion Baileys. Member of the Miyamoto pirates, Red, killed Naval Headquarters Vice Admiral. Extremely dangerous, reward amount, 500 million berries. Miyamoto pirates member, Tamari, killed Naval Headquarters Rear Admiral. Extremely dangerous, reward amount, 300 million berries. Hinata, a member of the Miyamoto pirates, killed Naval Headquarters soldiers and Celestial Dragons guards. It is extremely dangerous. The reward amount, 100 million Baileys. Rewards for all members of the Miyamoto pirates. 2.9 billion Baileys, an astronomical sum, but also a huge reputation. In the New World, Red Hair Pirates, one of the 4 emperors, was holding a daily banquet. A newsbird landed on the ship and came to the ship. As the deputy captain, Beckman was slightly taken aback. It's very rare, you actually took the initiative. After taking out a gold coin and throwing it to the newsbird, Beckman got the latest news report and the latest reward. Just a glance, Beckman's complexion changed. His hands shook involuntarily and smiled, and he read the entire newspaper at a glance, with a solemn expression on his face. This is quite the sea seems to be very restless. At this moment, a one-armed man with red hair and 3 scars above his left eye came behind Beckman with a bright smile on his face. What's the matter? Is there any new news? Red-haired Shanks, the man who led Luffy on the way of pirates, the captain of Red Hair Pirates, and the 4 emperors of New World. A rather powerful man whose strength lies in himself, not devil fruit. After hearing his captain's question, Beckman, who had roughly read the newspaper, handed the newspaper to the redhead. Here, let's see for yourself, there's a really great newcomer. Hearing Beckman's words, a gleam flashed in the red-haired eyes. He took the newspaper and read it. After a long time, the redhead watched all the news this time. It is rare that this time the news only reported one protagonist. The Miyamoto pirates. After reading it, the red-haired face was serious and his eyes flickered. Seriously injured Marine Admiral. This is really quite remarkable. Such news keeps causing waves among other pirate groups, even the 4 emperors is no exception. Killing celestial dragons is not much deterrent to these pirates, but there is a piece of news that is different. Seriously injured Marine Admiral. This is not an ordinary deterrent, and the Marine Admiral who is the best at running is seriously injured, which shows that the strength of the Miyamoto pirates is definitely the top. All the pirate groups are full of curiosity about the Miyamoto pirate group and want to know how big this Miyamoto pirate group is. The celestial dragons were killed, and the Miyamoto pirates are still in the process of fermentation. However, these things have just happened not long ago, they have not yet reached their peak, and they have not yet reached the Fishman Island on the bottom of the sea. Entering the ocean current of the Fishman Island, a medium-sized ship turned over and was following the ocean current, constantly moving towards the goal of this trip. Miyamoto is controlling the direction of the voyage, while the 3 of Hinata are like curious babies, looking at the scenery of the seabed. The goal of this trip, not other places, is the Fishman Island under the sea. One is because I want to take a look, and the other is because I want to come here to see this generation of Neptune. Princess Shirahoshi. For Princess Shirahoshi's ability to summon sea kings, Miyamoto is a little envious. If copied, will he be able to obtain the ability to control beasts through cheats optimization? This is worth looking forward to. Get ready, we are going to enter the Fishman Island. The huge underwater island in the distance can already be seen, and Miyamoto's face showed a hint of anticipation. Hearing Miyamoto's words, the three of Hinata nodded. Yes. Got it. The Isle of Man, protected by the Whitebeard order. There were not many people who dared to make trouble here. The four of Miyamoto entered the Fishman Island and landed directly on the Fishman Island without much hindrance. Do you want to go together? I'm going to do something. Glancing at the three Hinata who were quite curious about the Fishman Island, Miyamoto suddenly said a word, with a slight embarrassment on his face. Cough cough. There are some things that I want to get. Hearing Miyamoto's words, the three of Hinata froze for a moment, then nodded. Then Miyamoto-kun, be careful. Hearing Hinata's answer, Miyamoto nodded. Well, I will. After saying this, Miyamoto headed directly towards the palace of the Fishman Island. Shirahoshi was trapped in the hard-shell tower in the palace of the Murloc King. To find Shirahoshi, he had to go directly to the palace. As for what would happen if he broke into the palace, Miyamoto didn't care at all. The entrance to the palace. Who are you? Several guards of the palace saw Miyamoto holding weapons and asked. This is the royal palace, no intrusion is allowed. Without answering, Miyamoto went straight over, just raised his eyes, and the guards, Qian Zhao's, guarding the door fell to the ground one by one. Conqueror's Haki. Walking along this road, Miyamoto headed straight for the place where Shirahoshi's position was located in his perception. Air cleanup. Looking at the weapons stuck on the doors and windows of the hard-shell tower, Miyamoto's eyes flickered slightly. I really looked down on a strong man. After saying something, the golden sword in his hand condensed, and Miyamoto directly cut open the door of the hard-shell tower and walked in. A huge bed, a huge quilt, a huge sleeping mermaid. Miyamoto froze for a moment. Although the light was not turned on, Miyamoto could still clearly see the sleeping Princess Shirahoshi in Miyamoto's eyes. Fell asleep. After saying something, a smile appeared on Miyamoto's face. Just right. P.S. This is Chapter 148, thank you for your support. Chapter 149 A Toothpick Stirring the Vat? 5/5 Chapter 149. Looking at the sleeping Princess Shirahoshi in front of her, Miyamoto's figure floated above Shirahoshi's head. Poseidon. Shirahoshi. With a slight twinkle in his eyes, Miyamoto dropped down to stand on top of Shirahoshi's huge Oppai. Copy selection choice 1. Poseidon's weak divinity. Option 2. Mermaids breathe underwater without gills. Choice 3. The highest level observation Haki. Option 4. Huge. There are 4 choices, but Miyamoto's eyes fell directly on the first choice, and he was in a daze. See God's weak divinity. What the hell? Miyamoto was stunned, but no one answered. Cheat is not smart, so he didn't answer Miyamoto's question. Copy option 1. Copy option 3. Without hesitation, he directly chose the ability he wanted to copy in his heart. But just after finishing speaking, Miyamoto's cheat sent a message. Copy option 1 failed to copy, copy option 3 copied successfully. F***K. Replication failed. What does it mean? Miyamoto's face was full of bewilderment. Looking at the copy option 1 that still existed, he was in a daze. In other words, he didn't get the copy of divinity. But observation Haki reached the highest level of 177. Frowning slightly, Miyamoto fell into deep thought. It is rare to encounter such a good thing. Miyamoto is impossible to give up. Looking at Princess Shirahoshi, originally did not plan to bring her, but now, Miyamoto has decided. Wake up! Miyamoto's voice sounded, and he opened his mouth to wake up the sleeping Princess Shirahoshi. Wake up! Hey! Patting Shirahoshi's huge face, Miyamoto spoke directly, with a calm color on his face. Under Miyamoto's movement, Shirahoshi's eyelids trembled slightly, then slowly opened his eyes and looked at Miyamoto. May I ask who are you? Hearing Shirahoshi's words, Miyamoto smiled and asked. It doesn't matter who I am, what matters is, would you like to be my partner? Would it be easy for a mature man to coax a teenage girl? The answer is very simple. Yes, it's quite simple. Under Miyamoto's 3-inch tongue, Shirahoshi's heart is full of yearning for the colorful world outside. Are you really all right, Miyamoto-sama? In Shirahoshi's voice, with timidity, he asked, eyes full of expectation. Can I really be your partner and go see the outside world? Will the king not allow this? And outside, there's that Dakin. Eyes darkened, Shirahoshi spoke. Facing Shirahoshi like this, Miyamoto had a confident smile on his face, and his eyes were flat. Fine, with me here, I won't let anyone hurt you. After Miyamoto spoke, he looked at Shirahoshi and lowered his figure slightly. As long as you nod, I will take you away. Your father will not allow it, and the person who threatened you will not exist. For the first time there is an option with a god word, and she can't copy it yet. Miyamoto won't let Shirahoshi be here. Shirahoshi had to go with him. The best thing to do is, pee and follow him. After hesitating for a while, Shirahoshi looked up. Miyamoto-sama, I want to take a look with you. Hearing this, Miyamoto smiled on his face, stretched out his hand, and touched Shirahoshi's huge forehead. I see _, then you are my 4th crew member. Taking Shirahoshi away is fairly easy, and no one can stop the Murloc Kingdom at all. Miyamoto even went to see Shirahoshi's father, herself and her brothers were spared, and took Shirahoshi straight away after a wide-ranging full-force unleashing of Conqueror's Haki. As for that annoying Dakin Ix, the first thing he did when he came out with Shirahoshi was to send him back to the west. After doing everything well, Miyamoto took Shirahoshi directly back to the ship. Shirahoshi's huge body, obviously a medium-sized sailboat, was simply impossible to fit. Changing the ship has become a matter that Miyamoto, BHDB, must solve. But this can only wait to enter the new world. Besides, shipbuilding is not a difficult task for Miyamoto. Yamato's wood style can even create 3 bedrooms and 1 living room, let alone Miyamoto. It didn't take long. After the 3 of Hinata came back, they left the Fishman Island directly without making any stops. New world, on a huge battleship-level ship, there are only 5 people. For such a huge ship, if it only relies on the wind, it will definitely not be able to sail at full speed. So naturally I used Sea Kings. With Miyamoto's strength, it is not very difficult to tame a Sea Kings. All in all, due to various reasons, Shirahoshi will be a member of our pirate team from now on. Miyamoto looked slightly embarrassed, facing the slightly dissatisfied eyes of the 3 of Hinata, he explained. Her character is very simple, and she possesses extraordinary abilities. Taking her with you has many benefits. Miyamoto opened his mouth and explained that there is no taboo about this point. He had already told Shirahoshi before Miyamoto took Shirahoshi away. Hearing Miyamoto's mention of abilities, the eyes of the 3 of Hinata shifted to Shirahoshi. That, being watched by 3 people, Shirahoshi showed fear on his face, and shrank slightly behind Miyamoto. It's the first time we meet, please take care of me. I won't cause trouble for everyone. Hearing Shirahoshi's words, and seeing Shirahoshi like this, the 3 of Hinata didn't blame anything. Faced with Shirahoshi's appearance, they really can't blame it. Especially Red, don't you think Shirahoshi like a child? For Hong, who has always wanted a child but didn't get what she wanted, at this moment, her maternal instincts are so strong that she pulls Shirahoshi and talks about something. Slightly relieved to see that Shirahoshi was able to come in comfortably, then the problem would be gone. So, what are we doing in New World? Red and Hinata were chatting with Shirahoshi, and Temari came to Miyamoto's side and asked. Don't say you're here to play, nodding, a smile appeared on Miyamoto's face. Come to New World, mainly looking for red hair pirates. There should be a lot of news from him. Also, the red hair is the owner of the highest level Conqueror's Haki. Miyamoto said something with a smile on his face. He is not interested in One Piece, nor is he interested in world government. It's just that Miyamoto is interested in what the red hair knows, the Conqueror's Haki, the highest level in him. After hearing Miyamoto's explanation, Temari nodded, then looked at the huge Shirahoshi, and then at Miyamoto. That child, do you intend to keep it with you? Hearing Temari's words, Miyamoto was taken aback. Any questions? Blushing slightly, Temari glanced down at Miyamoto. No. I was thinking, although you are big too, but Shirahoshi's size. A toothpick stirs a vat. P.S. This is chapter 149, thank you for your support. Chapter 150 Moby Dick 1/5 Chapter 150, Temari. Hearing Temari's words, Miyamoto turned black and pulled Temari. Go, today I must let you see how great you are as a man. After saying this, he picked up Temari, and Miyamoto rushed directly towards the ship's bedroom, and his impatient look made Temari's face blush. Shirahoshi, who was talking to Hong and Hinata, looked at Miyamoto who was running away with a puzzled look on his face. Huh? What are the captain and sister Temari doing in such a hurry? Hearing Shirahoshi's words, Hong and Hinata blushed. Miyamoto, who looked like that, knew what to do. Hong raised her head and said to Shirahoshi earnestly. Shirahoshi. You must be careful with the captain at this time. Tilting his head, Shirahoshi looked puzzled. Why? Why should you be careful about the captain at this time? Reddened, looking at Shirahoshi. The captain at this time is a beast. The kind that can eat people, especially a cute girl like Shirahoshi, he likes it the most. New World, a huge warship, is advancing fast. Miyamoto looked at the sea ahead with a calm expression. I didn't expect it to be such a coincidence. In front of Miyamoto's ship is a huge warship. Looking at it like this, it is not difficult to guess a Moby Dick. Miyamoto's eyes, shining brightly, looked at the huge Moby Dick. Whitebeard pirates. Behind Miyamoto, the 3 of Temari, and Shirahoshi, all came to Miyamoto's side. Ah, it's Dad's boat. When he saw Moby Dick, Shirahoshi had a look of surprise on his face. Father should be here too, Captain. Turning to look at Miyamoto expectantly, Shirahoshi spoke. The Fishman Island was able to be stable until now under the protection of the Whitebeard pirates. Shirahoshi still knows this. But as soon as Shirahoshi finished speaking, Hong gently patted Shirahoshi's hand and said, Look at it now, he will meet your request later. Hearing Hong's words, Shirahoshi, who felt maternal love on Hong's body since boarding the ship, nodded obediently. Without answering Shirahoshi's words, Miyamoto looked towards the edge of the Moby Dick, and a burly man of huge size stepped out, looking at Miyamoto's ship which was not much smaller than the Moby Dick. The eyes of the two met directly, and Miyamoto felt the wire. Conqueror's Haki. Humph. Sensing Whitebeard's Conqueror's Haki, Miyamoto used his own Conqueror's Haki directly, and the two huge auras collided in the air instantly. Bang! The sea was turbulent, and Sea Kings, who was pulling the boat, rolled his eyes and passed out directly. Compared with Miyamoto's Conqueror's Haki, Whitebeard's is better, reaching the top level. But Miyamoto's Conqueror's Haki is not weak. With time, his Conqueror's Haki definitely makes it to the top. Gu la la la. With a hearty laugh, Whitebeard's Conqueror's Haki took it back and looked at Miyamoto. It's been a long time since anyone has been able to use Conqueror's Haki and stare me in the eye for so long. Miyamoto also took back his Conqueror's Haki, looked at Whitebeard who met unexpectedly, and didn't speak. After waiting for a while, Whitebeard spoke again, looking at Miyamoto. Imp. Come be my son. The corners of Miyamoto's mouth twitched, and the three of Hinata's faces were stunned. They looked at Miyamoto in a blink of an eye, with weird smiles on their faces, but Shirahoshi was used to it. On this sea, who doesn't know that Whitebeard is the recognized father? The catchphrase is such a sentence. Come be my son, Whitebeard. Miyamoto looked at Whitebeard with a flat face. Want to come to my place for a drink? To be honest, Miyamoto didn't want to get into trouble with Whitebeard, didn't want to fight Whitebeard or anything. Hearing Miyamoto's confident words, the smile on Whitebeard's face became deeper. Marco next to Whitebeard, looking at the flag on Miyamoto's pirate ship, couldn't help but shrink his pupils. Father. They're the Miyamoto pirates, and the black dragon flag on the ship is exactly the same as the one on the bounty. Hearing what Marco said, Whitebeard nodded, looked at Miyamoto, and smiled. Gu la la la, little ghost, you are the first one to invite me on board, but it seems that you can't entertain me and my sons on your boat, why don't you come to my place? Hearing Whitebeard's words, a gravitational force lifted the three of Hinata and Shirahoshi, a group of 5, and left directly to get on the Moby Dick. The 5 Miyamoto boarded the boat, and the members of the Whitebeard pirates were a little nervous, looking at the 5 Miyamoto with a little vigilance. Asking for flowers. Whitebeard didn't expect that Miyamoto really came as soon as he said it, but with his confidence, he was not worried. Looking at Miyamoto and Shirahoshi behind Miyamoto, he frowned slightly. Little devil. Let me ask you a question, what do you want to do to block the old man's boat? Hearing what Whitebeard said, Miyamoto's expression was flat. No, I'm looking for the redhead, not you. It was just an accident to meet you. After saying this, Miyamoto looked up at Whitebeard with calm eyes. Although Whitebeard seemed to be looking down on Miyamoto because of his height, but the people present didn't think so. The two tyrants are at the same level, which cannot be changed by height. 0. Gu la la la. Opening his mouth and laughing boldly, Whitebeard and Miyamoto looked at each other for a while and then said, Sons, prepare a banquet and treat everyone in the Miyamoto pirates well. Hearing Whitebeard's words, the members of the Whitebeard pirates shouted excitedly and then began to prepare. On the Moby Dick, Whitebeard and Miyamoto sat facing each other. Whitebeard raised the big wine bowl, drank a bowl, and looked at Miyamoto. Imp. Shirahoshi came with you voluntarily? With a gleam in his eyes, Whitebeard looked at Miyamoto. Hearing this, Miyamoto twitched his eyebrows slightly and looked at Whitebeard. It seems that Whitebeard also knows Shirahoshi's identity, otherwise there would be no such problem. Certainly. Nodding, Miyamoto opened his mouth and replied. She followed me voluntarily. Although he was not voluntary, he would be forcibly brought on board by himself, but in the end he boarded the ship voluntarily. After hearing Miyamoto's words, Whitebeard nodded and took a sip of his wine. After pondering for a while, Miyamoto opened his mouth and looked at Whitebeard. Whitebeard, I want to ask you something. Do you know the devil fruit of life? Hearing Miyamoto's words, Whitebeard's brow twitched slightly, and the others who heard it also fell silent and looked at Miyamoto. The devil fruit for life, those who pursue this thing, all represent rising ambition. P.S. This is chapter 150. Thank you for your support.